Okay, let's see if everything's working all right. Let's see. I believe live stream started. Hello everyone. Winter Player 3078. Hey, how's it going? Okay, hey. So, testing a new setup now. I've got my workstation here and a broadcast station. I've got two separate stations here working together, which I've only tested slightly before on live stream, so we're going to see how well it goes. Please let me know if the audio becomes unbalanced at any point. If the music is too loud, go ahead and just let me know. Alright, I may get confused here. I have two keyboards, I have two mice, mouses, mice, and two mice here. Okay. Hopefully we'll get things started here. So I am looking for my window. I have a building. So those two have gone, so just two of these. Okay. Ridiculous. Okay, you can barely hear me. Carl, hey, how's it going? I'm assuming Carly? I'm assuming I can, I'm saying that correctly. So I'll turn the music down a bit. Can I turn the audio up a bit? Here we go. Let me check this. I guess I'll put another one of these on. Okay, hello, can you hear me? How about that? Can you hear me all right? Music's too loud, thanks for letting me know. It's actually silent for me, so I have no idea. Okay, how's that? Is it more balanced now? Okay. Super Smash. Okay, great. Okay, thanks. Alright. Now let me figure out how to grab my window, because I think one of my windows disappeared. I had the window over there. Alright, so I'm running Unity on a different workstation from the live broadcast. So what was happening before is I was running it all on the one workstation, and it was eventually we were running into performance implications where Windows 10 started doing things in the background without my knowledge. Okay, so that's working there. So I want to know where my little window went. Let's see, what if I bring that here, okay? So I have to carefully select which of my workspace I show you. I can only show you the non-confidential parts of the work environment here. So let me just carefully select some windows here. Okay, great. I'll bring this over, and I'll bring it over here. Great, I can put those two together. I should have put that on the left. That's pretty annoying that it's on the right. Oh, this is pretty funny. Okay. So, I'll explain something that Unity did here. And this is quite interesting. For just a little look at the development of Guardians and Metal Exterminators is when I first started developing Guardians and Metal Exterminators, it was just the 2D portion. You know, you have the Tiger Electronics style game. And so when I open a new scene window like that, automatically Unity will put it into 2D mode as it thinks I'm making a 2D game. So that's just a little funny little leftover from very early in development. So I will go ahead and shrink that down, and then just to make performance a bit easier on the system here, I'm just going to lower the resolution on that view. Do I have 720 in there built in? No, I don't. Okay. Well, I'll just I'll do that like that there. That makes it a little easier. So this is the workspace, and if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and move my keyboards around. Okay, because I do need to use some keyboards. I might need to get a secondary Bluetooth keyboard again. I'm still improving and fine-tuning this workspace. I've never worked like this before, so I thought it'd be great if we all sort of figured it out together. Okay, let me know if the stream quality is better. So we ran a test a couple days ago, and I just wanted to make sure that everything worked all right. Okay, so I think what I'm going to have to do is, okay, so I don't have access to that right now. Okay, working it out. Let me go ahead and I'll just use the laptop keyboard here, so I'll have to stretch a bit to access this keyboard here. And actually, I'll just, if I don't, I'm going to end up bumping the microphone here, so pardon me for a moment. Okay. That brings the keyboard a little closer to me, doesn't it? Okay. Let me go ahead and move some USB devices around so we're got some less clutter here. So, how's everyone doing? People were mentioning Starfield before. I haven't seen Starfield. I haven't looked it up. People sort of mentioned it and asked me what I thought about it. So I don't know anything about Starfield, but I'm just gonna say that it is the best game I've ever played. Even though I've never seen it. I don't know anything about Starfield, but I assume that Starfield is a very futuristic, like a techno cyberpunk. I'm assuming, I'm not going to assume anything. I'm just going to say that Starfield is the next greatest cyberpunk techno future game. And so, to celebrate Starfield, I'll be wearing my super spacepunk cyberpunk glasses here to get in the mood of Starfield, which I know nothing about. But I will say that knowing nothing about Starfield, it is my favorite game that I've ever played. And there is no contest, and it will never change. And I guess these are kind of like LeVar Burton. Who was he in Star Wars? LeVar Burton was in Star Wars, and he had the visor, and he was with Professor X or Gandalf. I can't remember. There's too many characters out there. All right, so what we'll be doing today is we'll be upscaling our assets for Guardians of Metal Exterminators. So let's go ahead and just start out, and let's see if I can wrap my brain around this workspace here. And as we get started, let's go ahead and have a sip of our coffee. You guys can enjoy your coffee too as well. All right, stream quality is better. Cool, great. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so I'm actually having a very difficult time seeing my screen because of my my spacepunk glasses here. But when you start a bit, you have to commit to the bit. So I'll be wearing these. This is the bit now. Hi, Winter Player. How's it going? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and I can't show you my project inspector because then that would sort of spoil a bunch of stuff. And also there's a whole bunch of unused content, and then also content that's coming up as well. And I don't want to give that away. Hey, today we might even actually be able to start sculpting that Metal Exterminator. Maybe it'll be this stream, maybe it'll be the next one, but who knows. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and grab our character graphical assets, and we're going to bring them into the scene here, and then we will just start upscaling the assets. So I have prepared either somewhere in my stored database or saved in the project our higher resolution textures, and I have to manually adjust the materials. Winter Player, why are you Terminator? Oh, these are my spacepunk cyberpunk glasses to celebrate Starfield, because people were asking me about Starfield and what I thought about it on the last stream. I don't know anything about it, but I do know that it's the best game that I've ever played. Ocarina of Time, Resident Evil 2, Final Fantasy VII, those used to be my favorites, not anymore. I don't even like those games anymore because Starfield is so good that I'll probably never play any of those old awful games ever again, because I like Starfield so much. Okay, so we've brought in gold here, and now I'm also going to bring in, okay, so one of our fan favorite is always Bull. So we'll go ahead and bring in Bull, and then we'll start upscaling his visuals as well. So we'll put Bull over here, and I'm super having a hard time seeing, but I got to commit to the bit because I've started it, and I can't admit that this bit is really bad in terms of being able to see what I'm doing on the screen. So, alright, so let's go ahead and have a look. I would really like to have a middle mouse click, wouldn't I? Okay. So, let's go ahead and... So if we have a look at the difference, so right now if you have a look at Gold, I'll explain the differences in how the graphics are being improved. So if you zoom right in, you can actually see the detail of the fibers. They have lighting data. That's called normal mapping. And that means that you can have extremely detailed textures on your character. We're going to zoom right in on his crotch here, and you can even see the bumps on the seams of his pants. If I go ahead and click that character and I want to rotate him, we'll rotate him so he catches the light a certain way. You can see that there is a shininess to the buttons. That's called specularity. Even the buttons on the shirt have specularity. You can see they're quite shiny. These are details that I could not have on the 3DS. Other games could on the 3DS. It's just a limitation of Unity 3DS. And so I could not have that in Guardians of Metal Exterminators. But you can see the buttons catch light, the buttons on the pants. And I don't know why I'm obsessing with this crotch. I just wanted to show you the seams. So it's really that specular definition and basically the bumpiness of different materials. They can pick up light, and they can, when I say they, the materials of the character can pick up light in a more realistic and advanced way. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and start upscaling Bull's clothes here. I feel like I'm watching a Bob Ross video. Hello, Alex. How's it going? So, okay. I think I might want to bring the inspector over so I can share this part of development with you, because I think that's quite interesting. So I'm going to bring this over. You know, we might take this window out because we don't actually benefit from seeing this right now. So I'll remove that, okay? How about that? Let's go ahead and take that out, and I'll bring that back over to my other monitor. How about that? Okay. Now, when we click on the character's mesh, so what I've done is I've selected a mesh. This is part of the character geometry. We can select a shader, and I'm trying very hard to actually see through these glasses, but you got to stick to the bit, as my great-great-grandpappy always told me. So we'll be using Unity's standard shaders, which are quite great. I'm going to open up the details on that shader there. By default it goes to transparent. We don't want that transparent. We are going to opaque. So already we can see that it's a little more advanced in the way that it's picking up light. Right now it's quite shiny. If I didn't specify any specular information, you could make it look like metal. If I move those sliders, now his jacket is super shiny. And if you wanted your character to look like they had just come out of the water and their clothes are wet, then you could use those sliders to that effect. Okay. So I'm just going to manually look for, okay, so right off the bat I can see that what I had done is I had gutted these assets on the fly, and I did not have the high resolution textures and assets in my workspace. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my computer to search for Brandish 80s, and I'm going to hope that my computer will search my database and it'll find those assets in high resolution, and then we can just plug them in. So in the meantime, while my computer is searching for those assets, I am going to bring in another character. So let's go ahead and search for that. One of my favorite functions of Unity is you can use the select button, and I can't show you this, but in my project window it'll actually bring up the prefab where that character is stored in the data environment, so that's great. Jim Kills, I'm wondering where you got those glasses because you would have just have those. No, I didn't just have these. I got these for a stupid bit. And that's because I'm a big Starfield. Jim Killis, you should know that I'm such a big Starfield fan. I've always, you know how I'm always talking about Starfield, and I'm always posting those little 30-second clips on my Twitter account of me winning PvP in Starfield. Did I get that right? I'm really good at 360 no-scoping. I don't even know what that means. I feel old. I hear people say that I'm really good at doing that in Starfield, and I love looting other players' bodies. Is that something you can do in Starfield? Anyway, what? Starfield didn't actually launch buggy? No. Starfield is famous for being the most stable modern game, in that there were no bugs at launch, not a single bug. And also, there's no DLC. There's no in-app purchases. Everything in Starfield was absolutely playable from the start. There were no glitches, no bugs, and everything just worked perfect. And that's why I personally love Starfield. Starfield has replaced Final Fantasy VII as my favorite game because it was like, oh, Final Fantasy VII's full of bugs, gross, you know, ew, not for me. All right. Go ahead and see if I have the high resolution assets for these here. Okay, I'm going to have to hopefully find those in my asset database. Okay. Alright, my computer has found some results. Let me go ahead and search here. And then what we're doing, hello to everyone if you're just checking, what we're doing is I'm showing you the process of upscaling these character assets, and not just higher resolution but more advanced rendering shaders, which allows them to pick up light and express lighting and shadows more accurately. Okay. So we have, I'm just going to look for my high resolution now. So my computer has found, let's see, it's found the lower resolution ones, and I just wanted to find the high resolution ones now. That would be nice. Okay, we got some meshes here. Okay, it's still searching. Computer's still searching. Okay. Starfield is a space exploration single-player game. Dang. Okay. Well, you know, like the PvP is more like a live stream, like a time, you know, like how quickly you can complete a dungeon or get through a mission. That's what I meant by PvP is, can I get something, you know, like can I complete a mission faster than someone else, you know. PvP, you know, and that in a way that's like PvP as well, comparing times with the people online, you know. What will Bob Ross be painting today? Well, next time we'll probably be sculpting a metal exterminator enemy. So that's like painting on clay, really. Also, did you hear Digital Foundry? Did you hear Digital Foundry lying about Starfield having no swimming? They didn't. No, I haven't heard about that. But swimming is my favorite mechanic in Starfield. You know, and that's why I've joined the gym and I've started swimming, because the swimming mechanics in Starfield were so. Like, they were so realistic, and I felt like I was really there, and I thought, I have got to start swimming. I've got to get a piece of that. And, you know, I really enjoyed, you know, there isn't a single mechanic in Starfield that I didn't just absolutely love, you know. I'm just so, you know, I'm just absolutely wrapped in it. Okay, so I'm going to try and manually find these assets now, because my computer's kind of taken literally forever. I'm actually dying of old age. My computer still hasn't found the high resolution assets here. So I'm going to go ahead and just check my database here myself. Let's see, I've got Bull Brandish from the 70s. Let's see here. Alright. There's so many. I have so many characters. Many characters haven't even been introduced to the story. I have characters from different decades that I've done the designs for that have not been seen in the series yet. And so it's a fair amount of work navigating all of that. I'm just going to tell my computer to just just take a break because I've found these assets myself and I didn't even need my computer. Okay, so I can't even show you my Windows Explorer. Okay, so I'm just going to. What if I hide that? Can I hide that? Can I? Oh yeah, sure, sure. Okay, I'll bring that right on over. So you can see in this asset database, I have what are probably, these are probably all the full resolution, right? In general, I try to keep these textures, usually if I know that there are many characters loaded into a scene, I'll try to keep certain textures at 1024, but other parts of those textures, I can keep them lower resolution, and I'll explain that to you. So I'm just going to check the properties here and see what the texture resolution is on this guy. Alright, 2048 by 2048, that's real nice. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and copy all of this, right? I'm just going to Control A and Control C. I've copied all of those textures. What I will do now is go over to Bull Brandish. I'm going to click on our main man over here, and I quite like this. This is one of my favorite features of Unity. If I click on this, I just tap it once. What I can't show you because it would be confidential. It's in my navigator. It's brought me over to the folder that contains all those files, which is from a workspace and a workflow aspect. It's really great, really fantastic. That just makes things faster for me because it saves me having to manually find everything. So I've just pressed Control V. I've pasted all of those textures into my workspace. When I click back into Unity now, it will load those textures into my workspace. Let's go ahead and give Unity just a minute here. And while we wait for those files to load in, I'm going to share today's sponsor. No, it's not a sponsor, just kidding. This is yakisoba noodle bowl. It was like $1.50, just a quick breakfast. I haven't had breakfast yet, so while I wait for Unity, I'm just going to hold it so you can see the label out. I don't even know who makes this. If they want to sponsor me, I don't care. Don't sponsor me because I'm not a part of the system, man. You can't tell me what to do. And that's like a life philosophy that I picked up from Starfield, because it's all about being a space pirate and being free and not being told what to do. So welcome to the Sun Grand food tasting channel where I taste various foods and I review them. So right off the bat, I can tell this just has quite a nice smooth texture to it, a nice flow to the noodles here. But unfortunately, I think they're a bit short. See, as you pick up the yakisoba noodles, they kind of break a little bit, and I like a little bit of drag, what in the business we refer to as drag. And this has very low drag, which in this particular situation, because they are not, this is not a soup, it's sort of a dry noodle. I prefer to have a bit of drag on the noodles here. So, oh hey Ginoze, how's it going? We just started the food review section here. Okay, so I'm going to try this now. You always want to make sure that you take a deep breath before tasting. You want to wet your palate. So if you can wet your palate, that allows you to taste the food better. Okay. Okay, so it's much more subtle. Much more subtle than I expected. I'm gonna mix around and make sure I've got all the sauce and the flavor there. So what I like about these instant noodle bowls is that they come with a number of packets. So you have to deploy the packets into the noodles yourself manually. And when you do that, when you pour the little packets in there were 4 separate packets. It makes you feel like a chef. It makes you feel like you've actually cooked something, when in reality you're just eating preservatives that for a meal that took about 4 minutes to cook. Okay, I'll have a second tasting here just to make sure that I've fully appreciated the range of flavors here. Okay, not bad, not bad. So I would say it's quite a subtle umami taste to it. So if you are into subtle flavors, I would recommend this Urban Eats yakisoba noodle bowl. If you're looking for sort of like a strong, punchy, you know, you were expecting like a teriyaki experience, this is not for you. I feel that you would be disappointed. But for those who enjoy a more delicate, subtle palate, I would recommend that, yes. Oh, okay, I'm going to catch up to the chat now. Hold on. Sorry about that. I was off on a tangent, and I'm actually just going to have a sip of my coffee. Okay. What about Subnautica? Oh, I don't even get me on Subnautica. I also know nothing about Subnautica, but I have many, many opinions about it. A $500 check has just been deposited in your bank account from Xbox and Bethesda Game Studios. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna see. Did you hear some YouTuber? Oh, how's it going, Super Smash? Did you hear some YouTuber raging about the game having pronouns? Well, pronouns are extremely important. Otherwise, you'd have to keep referring to things by long names. Believe it or not, okay, and you know, this is a lot of information. It's like really an advanced concept. So, I mean, you know, don't feel bad if you don't really get this concept right away. But we've had pronouns for longer than 2 years. I know it seems like we invented pronouns like 2 years ago. And that's probably the Mandela effect. You know, don't feel bad. But we've actually had pronouns for a very, very long time. And they're not a new trend. We've been using them for a long time. It's just one of those things where you don't really appreciate them until Twitter tells you to appreciate them. But no, we've had them. So there's no reason to sort of get all up in arms about just discovering them. I know some people have just discovered what a part of speech is. Have you heard people going crazy over adjectives? I mean, I saw someone on Twitter the other day, and he was ballistic because he had just discovered what an adjective was, and he did not like that people were using the wrong adjectives to describe him. People use adjectives like whiny, complainy, like a little baby, which isn't an adjective, it's a bunch of words together, you know, but he didn't like those adjectives, so he put adjectives in his profile description, and people were only allowed to describe him using those adjectives. So, you know, I get it. It's fun. It's fun exploring and learning words, what words are. Because, you know, most people don't use words on a day-to-day basis. So when they discover them, it's very exciting. So I don't hold it against people. I think it's very exciting to use words. Good move on the point of engagement. Also, Big Gin is in. Jin Gin? You finally got that big Yakisoba bowl sponsorship. Yeah, you know, but I have to eat the whole bowl on stream. If I take any bites off stream, I lose the sponsorship. How is the bump mapping on the noodles? Well, here's the thing. I kind of think that I think they forgot the bump mapping on the noodles because I don't see any bumps. They're quite smooth, which is what I like on my noodles. I like the noodles to be quite smooth, you know. So again, and you know what? Some people prefer a low drag. They like a shortcut noodle. I prefer a long cut noodle. Some people prefer the shortcut, but the long cut will get you that drag, and the drag is part of the experience. But I am wearing a white shirt. It's better to have shortcut, low drag. I like long cut, high drag, but in general I wouldn't have that if I were wearing a white shirt. So that's good. The sauce really adheres to the noodles, so you don't get the splash, and it doesn't make a mess on your lips. It's much less likely to stain your clothes. Again, the drag is a little bit of a problem on that product. I'm going to give that 8.5 out of 10 for that Urban Eats Yakisoba bowl. Okay. My Starfield playthrough was about being a corporate operator and undermining all human endeavors to make myself rich. Wow, that sounds fun. That's great. Okay. I'm actually gonna start putting. Okay, I'll put some textures on this guy now. Okay, so when we click on our mesh, I'll click on that, and that is a lower resolution texture. So I'll click on that. I'll let you know what this is off the bat here. It should say, you can see down there in the corner, 256 by 256. That's just fine for 3DS. That's actually kind of high resolution for the 3DS, given that every single character, or every single asset in Guardians and Metal Exterminators is actually loaded in when the game starts. And the reason why every single asset is loaded in as opposed to when that asset needs to be used is because that after years of developing with Unity 3DS, I was aware that every time you load something in and try to take it out of memory, Unity will leak memory like crazy, and eventually it will crash your game due to that. And so my way to address that was to just load everything in and nothing is ever loaded out, and that was a way to avoid that particular issue with Unity. It was a solution which I did not like, but it was necessary. So let's go ahead and have a look here. I'll press the F key. Is there a meme for that? I'm not big on memes. I don't really understand memes. Okay, so let's have a look at our transformation process. I should be playing the Sailor Moon transformation music, shouldn't I? But I don't have it with me. So I'm going to take my high resolution texture, I'm going to drag it in there and watch a dramatic change here. Whoa, that's pretty different, isn't it? Okay, and I created all of these textures in high resolution to begin with. What I'll do now is take my metal, my metallic and smoothness map. Oh, right, so I actually need Photoshop. This is a new workstation. I don't have Photoshop on here, so this map is actually incorrect. It's inverted. So I'll have to fix that later. So for now, I'll just leave that here. It's going to look incorrect, and I'll fix it later. Again, this is a new workstation, specifically for live broadcast. Okay, and now we have our normal data. So our normal data tells the lighting engine how bumpy our material is and where the bumps are. You can see now that the various threads of the material are now catching the light. You can see seams, you can see folds in the fabric which were not there before. And now I'll go ahead and grab our ambient occlusion is the final map we'll put in here. We'll put that in ambient occlusion, and that sort of tells the lighting system if certain areas are dark or not. That one I need to manually work on. That one doesn't have much data to it. So here is something that's very important when it comes to optimization, which I generally don't see that often. It's something that I always do because it's very important to me to optimize. But when you have unlimited polygons, like on PS5, I guess you don't need to do any work to actually optimize your product. You just use your very powerful hardware as a crutch to not be a good developer. But for me, I want to push myself to be the best that I can, make the absolute best of the platform I'm working with. So when I click on those, I'm going to check and see what the resolution is. So that is 2048 by 2048. There is no reason for the specular data, the data that tells the lighting engine how shiny your material is, there's no reason for that to be very high resolution. So what I'm going to do is reduce that. I can make it 256 or 128. I'll just make it 256 for now, and I'll apply it. And you'll see that it doesn't really have a huge effect on that. And this is a funny quirk with Unity. My little window will have disappeared. I just need to grab them again. Okay. And now I'll go to my occlusion data, which I know does not need to be high resolution as well. If you look at that occlusion data, I've clicked on the wrong one, haven't I? I'll go ahead and click on the mesh again, and I'll click on the occlusion data. If I click on that once, it should appear here. So I'll select that, ambient occlusion. There we go. And what I will do is manually change this. Instead of 2048 by 2048, which is a significant amount of memory. For the occlusion map, you can actually even make it 128, and you would save a significant amount of memory, and you would not visually see a difference. So this is an optimization which I've just, sorted out over the years, and it's something that I do on all my projects. And that's just one part of development. There's a whole lot that goes into it, So there we go. What we'll do now is we'll go ahead and upscale this undershirt here. So let's go ahead and fill that up. I'll click on the mesh. So when you first click on your object, your game object, it selects the entire object. It selects the parent. and the parent is the auditionee here. I'll click on the shirt, and then after I finish this, I'll have a sip of my coffee and get back to the chat. Again, we'll select our shader. So right now it's using the 3DS shader, and I will select the standard shader, which allows for more advanced lighting and allows access to specular and normal data. I'll click on that file, and I can see that I have, it's called top. Okay, top base color. So let's keep a close eye on how his shirt looks now. And actually we can do this. I will actually hide the waistcoat. And now we can see that this shirt is actually fully modeled up to a point. And that was in case I wanted to take Bull's clothes off. That didn't sound right. I didn't mean it like that. If I wanted to take his vest off, just to have a look underneath. That's not what I meant. Okay, so let's start upscaling his shirt. Click on that there. Alright, and we have our top base color, and we are going to drag our file into that spot. And you can see there's a significant difference in the quality already. So it only has higher resolution albedo map, or the color of your geometry. What I'm going to do now is add the specular data, which again is incorrect. I need Photoshop to manually adjust it because it actually provides reversed data, which is incorrect. Next we will do our normal map, and I feel this step is quite cathartic. It's kind of like raking a Zen garden. And you can see that already it looks significantly different. A little shiny, looks like he just came out of the water. Ooh, this guy's got pecs. Dang. Wow. That's a strong guy. Okay, and lastly, our ambient occlusion. And the ambient occlusion allows us to define dark spots on that. And again, similarly with the previous maps, I'm just going to select the ambient occlusion and the specular map. You can see there 2048 by 2048. You can select multiple textures at a time. So what I will do is, again, I'll just change them to 256, and they will take up significantly less memory. They're faster to load, and they put less memory pressure. Check out how you can see that, how detailed. So I originally made all of these textures very detailed. So now we'll go ahead and we'll click on his waistcoat and we'll put his clothes back on. Put that tick mark just there. And you can see. All right. And so part of the manual process as well, once I bring materials into the game engine, so I create these assets outside of the game engine, I bring them in, I run them in the game engine to see how well they work. And I can see that manually at some point I would have darkened the color of Bull's waistcoat here. Because I think that's too light, it's the wrong color. Whereas outside of the engine, I'm sure it looked fine. Once it's in engine, I'll have to go back and make manual changes. So I'll do that. Again, I don't have Photoshop on this workstation. I'll have to figure out how to get my Photoshop on here. And then I can work on the fly better. But what am I talking about? I have my two workstations here. So yeah, yes, I do have Photoshop. I have a second workstation here, which is the main development unit. I'll go ahead and adjust that now, and I'll show you. Okay, I'm going to get caught up with the chat now. Okay. In Super Smash, you're actually going to buy Starfield because of the guy having a temper tantrum over the game. And it lets me leave out packets of nasty dried celery I don't want in my noodles. Oh yeah, sure. If there's any packets you don't want in the yakisoba, you can just leave it out. So it's a free country, and you can do what you like. And big ramen industry is not your mother; they can't tell you what to do. Okay, next we'll work on Bull's pants. Let me go ahead and get caught up with the chat here, and I'll fix the color. Actually, if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to remove my Starfield glasses. I'm just going to look. I need to see what the... Wow, I can see a lot more without these. I'm going to leave these off for a bit. Let's have some eye contact while I catch up with the chat. But, I'm such a big Starfield fan, I will put these back on because, this is what they wear in Starfield, isn't it? I'm assuming. Okay. Genoze, I refuse to use pronouns. Genoze understands Jerrel Dulay's point about them, but Genoze finds pronouns mostly unnecessary. Jerrel also finds pronouns mostly unnecessary. I think it's adjectives that are more important. Jim Kulis, it looks so much better. Unreal Engine 5's Nanite makes it so devs can just use unlimited polygons, but games that use it are turning out to be extremely CPU intensive and can't run well on even the most powerful PCs without using DLSS or FSR upscaling. It's funny, it's almost as if giving someone a monkey's paw in terms of game development never really works out the way people expect. It's almost as if you get a better game if you work smarter and work harder, and you do the right work the right way. You get better results. Or you can be lazy and not do any of those things and use your monkey's paw. I mean, it's whatever you want, Okay, so I've got Photoshop open. So what's great about Unity, actually, it's weird that I'm praising it so much, right? Like it's a new sort of format for me, but because I'm not using Unity 3DS anymore, I'm actually more full of praise than anything else. I'm using Unity Switch, and I have significantly more praise. So what I'm going to do, you can actually grab and drag and drop the asset straight out of the Unity window like that, the project inspector, and then drop that into your image editing software, and I think that's just great. I just like that so much. So again, this is just a funny quirk. This window is always on top, so I actually have to just move it again. I grabbed the wrong file here. A waistcoat base color. Oh no, did I grab it? I'm just going to make sure I grab the right one here and drag that into my Photoshop. Yeah, I grabbed the wrong file here. Bring that in, okay? And I'm just going to, here, I'll just manually, look, I'll bring that over here, okay? And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to darken that a bit because it looks quite pale. So what I have is I'm editing the texture now, and then I'm going to save the file, and then it's going to be updated in Engine. So I'm looking at it, I'm determining what I want changed about it as I can see it in the engine. I'm going to bring it to about there, and I'm going to adjust the saturation a bit. And again, I want Guardians and Metal Exterminators to look quite punchy, Okay, I'm just going to give it, I'm not sure if that's the right, because each character has a particular color scheme, and that the colors can vary, the clothes can vary depending on the decade that they are in and their point of their character development. So I'm just going to save that now. So I've made changes to that. Okay, Photoshop is finished saving it. I'll bring that back. Let's click back into Unity. I'll get this window out of the way, bring that back to my other monitor. Oop. Okay, and let's have a look here. That's looking much closer to what I want. But I know which distance my characters will be drawn, and this is something that you need to consider as a developer, is not just what your assets are, but how your assets will be viewed. And I know that generally the camera angle will be up there, and in terms of color, Bull should always be identified. Every character that I create, I want them at least to be identified from a distance by their shape and their color. I can tell this color is not right yet, because if I zoom right out, I can't really tell that's a Bull. Bull always has a very kind of particular blue. This blue is lighter than the one that he normally has. This is 80s Bull. So I'll go back into Unity, and I'm going to adjust it a bit further now that I've seen my changes. I'm going to adjust it just a bit more. Give it a bit more of a blue tint here, and I'm going to saturate it just a little more. Go ahead and save the file, and then we'll click back into Unity and look at the changes. So you can see that's darkened it a bit. Again, I'm not overdoing it. I am just adjusting the texture a bit by bit. And I think I'm going to call it. I don't want to overdo it now, because you can always overdo it. You can put salt into a dish, but you can't take it out, you know, as Great Grandpappy used to say. Here are the kind of details that you can notice now. You can see that you can notice the folds and wrinkles in his clothes. What I like to do with my textures as well, I'm kind of in the way, aren't I? I'm definitely in the way. Okay, so what I'll do here is I'll select my textures, and what I like to do is the anisotropic filtering. That's important. I usually, in Unity, you know, I normally have it about 9. When you view textures from an angle, they can get blurry and muddy. Anisotropic filtering allows the engine to... okay, so I think I have the wrong normal map on here. I'm going to check that. No, that's... I accidentally dragged something in there. That's the wrong normal map. I want the waistcoat normal map. Okay. There we go. I must have accidentally changed it at some point. Ooh, look at how sharp those... Jesus. Ah! I must have been really into denim that day. I made that denim really sharp. I might have to adjust that. Some days you have a denim day, you know. Okay, let me just check the normal map on that. And now we'll work on Bull's pants. Yep, that's fine. Okay. So you can see here, let's zoom right in. I'm not choosing to zoom in that crotch area. That's just what Unity wanted, not me, you know. Okay. All right, and let's bring over our high resolution pans. And I'm gonna have another sip of my coffee, and then I'll get caught up with the chat here. Hey, have a look at that. And just one more very quickly. I will zoom, bring the normal map in. This is cathartic right here. Can we all just enjoy a bit of catharsis right now? Just. That's nice. That's really nice, isn't it? I really enjoy that. Okay. Switch that to opaque. And so one thing that I really like to pay extra attention to, not just the color of characters' clothing, but their textiles, the materials with which their clothes are created. And having leather, like this sort of slick leather look, it allows the characters to stand out in lighting more, and it gives them a rugged look as well. But something in games is, in general, you have to make things shinier than they would be in real life, because it allows objects to catch the light in interesting ways. Anyway, let me get caught up with the chat here. Alright. Is this cybernetic Jerrel from the year 2077? No, I'm such a big fan of Starfield. I've never played it, but people mentioned it on the last stream, and it's now my favorite game, you know. I don't even think about Final Fantasy VII anymore. I don't think about Resident Evil 2. I don't even think about Silent Hill, you know. I'm all about Starfield. I mainly wear these everywhere to let everyone know what a big Starfield fan I am, because, you know, LeVar Burton wears these in Star Wars. Star Wars The New Generation? Is that what it's called? The Next Generation. Will there be a shirtless version of the game? No, no, unfortunately, even the Konami code won't help you with that. Snazzy looking eye covers you got. Well, I'm a big LeVar Burton fan, who did the voice for about 40% of the characters in Starfield. They got LeVar Burton to do all the voice acting for that, you know. I think they got Troy Baker to do the rest. Yeah. A burly topless bull with his mighty, mighty axes. You know, it's like, I think it's his one of his alternates in 3 Down Stars. He's got 2 axes on his back, and I thought, that's kind of his theme, you know. He's a lumberjack, isn't he? So I'm kind of thinking, you know, in this one he's got 1 axe, and then in 3 Down Stars he's upgraded to 2. And who knows, in a game set, you know, after 3 Down Stars, he may even have 3 axes, maybe 4. I mean, what's going to stop him? Are you going to stop him? You know, honestly. Personally, I would rather you actually be able to see instead of wearing the Starfield glasses. Hey, Raiko, how's it going? You know, Jim Killis, I would like to be able to see as well, but you got to commit to the bit, as my great-grandpappy always said. Good to see you, Raiko. I'm glad you're here. Rashad C. I always knew that Lumen and Nanite will not save dev skins from properly optimizing their assets. There are some features in Unreal 5 I don't want to use, so I still use Unreal Engine 4 instead. I absolutely know how you feel. I'm using Unity 2019 because Unity, the newer versions of Unity are so slow and sluggish. 2019 gets the absolute best performance on the Nintendo Switch. I've tried deploying my games using 2020, 2021, and I lose like 20 frames, 30 frames a second. I'm thinking, why did you make a newer version of your software if the only feature you've added to your software is to make it easier for lazy, inexperienced developers to quickly pump out a product without having any experience or knowledge on how to make a good product? You're making it easier to do that while making it worse for experienced developers who can make a good product. You've now tied their hands and they cannot make a good product because you're catering to developers who are inexperienced and or lazy. And that's the problem we're seeing with new versions of game engines. So I'm going to stay on Unity 2019, and they're going to have to come to my house and put a Starfield laser blaster to my head to make me upgrade Unity. I'm staying on 2019. Nintendo is using Unreal Engine a little more nowadays. Pikmin 4 actually used it. At some point I will have to stop using Unity and move to Unreal because Unity is a tragic, the way that it's being run is destroying the product. It's just the CEO is destroying the whole company and the core product. Upscaling technology in general is great, but it should be used as a supplement to a well-optimized game, not as a crutch to avoid actually optimizing the game. Absolutely right, Jim Kilos, yeah. Pikmin 4 uses Unreal 4, and surprisingly they did a great job of making it work for Switch. Majority of Unreal 4 games look very ugly and blurry every time I see people making projects for it. That's the problem. The easier it is to use software, the worse products you're going to see. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, because that allows inexperienced users to complete and launch products. Tears of the Kingdom uses FSR 1 to improve frame rate in demanding situations, but it makes a lot of sense considering that the game being able to run at all on the Switch is a miracle. That game, I'd like to make a video about it. It's really impressive. It's fantastic. I'm convinced that Nintendo has some of the most talented engineers in the world. Oh yeah, absolutely. And the most passionate. Star Trek? No, Star Wars. LeVar Burton's from Star Wars, the next generation. Starfield just came out. How did that already become your favorite game? Oh, I haven't played Starfield. I don't actually know anything about it. People in the last stream were just talking about it, so it's now my favorite game. Rashadzi, I avoid using Unity because Unity bugs and Visual Studio hates all my versions. Ouch, yeah, I've invested, I don't know, I started using Unity when it was brand new, like Unity 3. So I've invested what feels like the majority of my life, well, the entirety of my professional career, I've invested into becoming proficient with Unity, and it's too late for me now. It's kind of like you've grown old and tired, and it's too late to change, and you're just resigned to your fate. Anyway, let me go ahead and fix up these spec maps here. Okay, we're going to get some specular data, and you can see what's going to get this looking just right now. So I'll click on that in my inspector. I'm going to drag my metallic map, which is reversed. Sort of the way this generates clothing is, because I use all sorts of different software, don't I? It generates it with reversed frame data. So I've just got a saved set of actions here. I'm just going to go ahead and fix this real quick like. I click that button there. Click save. Back into Unity. My yakisoba is going to be very cold, and I need to finish that. I haven't had breakfast. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and drag and drop our metallic map. I've dragged and dropped. I'm going to put that in metallic, and let's have a look at the effect here. Okay, that should be correct now. Yep, so you can see that the belt and the buckle are shinier than the pants now. You can see the way that it catches the light. Let's zoom in. And there we go. I mean, in the game, you can never get that close to his crotch, but, that's beside the point, is that the character has a movement, and they're you know, they're dynamic, and I just love the way that you know, you can get clothing to catch light in that way. This leather has a sort of a tarnished, imperfect look. There are dry spots um, that add dimensionality to it. You can see that sharp seam running down the side. And I'm just going to adjust the anisotropic filtering, and I'll show you an example of that at work here, if I can, and why it's so important. Okay, I usually bring it up to 9. Okay, so so everyone understands how much I love Starfield. I'm just going to take off my Starfield glasses now. I've never even seen a picture of Starfield. I don't know if that's something they wear in there, but wow, I can see a lot more now. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at, okay, I think what will be a good example here is having a look at our terrain texture. So yeah, if anyone's just checking in, I'm upscaling and remastering Guardians and Metal Exterminators for Nintendo Switch. Alright, let's find a spot where if I can show this to you. Okay, let's see how our grass looks. Can I turn off the grid? Where's the grid? Okay, so have a look at the ground here. Let's have a look at what the anisotropic filtering level is here. Okay, so we have that at 8, yes. And what I will do now, let's see, the resolution is, I'm in front of the resolution. Let me go ahead and open this just a little. Oh, there it is down there. Please come back. Is the music alright? I can't actually see. This is a new workspace. I can't see what music is playing right now. This is 512 by 512. I know that people generally don't... The camera will never get this close to the ground, see? So I have no reason to make the resolution higher. So I keep that at 512 by 512. It's not a big deal. So right now the anisotropic filtering is at... Well, it was at 8, wasn't it? If I just bring that down to 0 and have a close look at the texture here and see what happens. I'm not sure if it'll be visible here on stream, but you'll see in general it's going to be blurrier. I don't know if it's visible on the stream or not. What if I turn the lights off? Oh, and you know what? That's because I've got this as well. So I didn't use mipmaps. Mipmaps, I'll turn that on, then I'll show you the difference. Okay, there we go. So you can see how it gets blurry back there, right? And then the more sharp angle that we view it at, or they call it oblique, you can see it gets very blurry over there, doesn't it? Okay? So what I'll do now is I'll select my textures. So that's why we want to have anisotropic filtering. So that's the aniso level. I'll bring that up to 9. I'll hit apply and pay close attention here to the difference that we get. And you can see it becomes much sharper there, doesn't it? So it's much more clear. That's why it's important to have that. It's important to have a high anisotropic filtering level when it comes to your character's meshes and their materials, because their characters' meshes are constantly moving. They're constantly at unpredictable angles with the camera. In this particular case, I actually disabled mipmaps on this because I want this particular ground, this is an aesthetic choice, I just want it to be extremely sharp. So I turn mipmaps off, and that actually reduces memory usage as well. You can see how nice and sharp that ground is. Go ahead and turn our lighting back on. Satisfying. Okay, and we have our character's body. Go ahead and get our standard shader on there. Ah, this is unpleasant. Oh no. Are we having a Fallout 76 moment? Are we having the Last of Us Remastered moment? I can't see. I'm in the way here. Just feel. I'll use the force there. Okay. Okay. I'll turn my grid back on. I like having my grid. No. I've changed my mind. I think I don't like having my grid. Alright. I'll see if I've got my characters, let's see, I got my normals here? Okay. I have to check my characters, of course, because there are certain characters where I manually have to paint on their chest hair and their arm hair. Then there's specular data changes, the normal data changes. I know that Bull is supposed to be kind of a furry guy. He has a nice furry chest. Ooh, that sounded really, really weird there. I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't mean to sound weird like that. So I know this isn't right. So I'll have to go back to my asset database where I know that I've painted his chest hair on. All right. Let me go ahead and catch up with the chat now. And Next Generations is Star Trek, not Star Wars. Oh yeah, of course, sure, yeah. Jim Kulis, I love physically based rendering. I do too, it's really fantastic. Skipping Starfield, got too many Nintendo Switch games pre-ordered. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to play Starfield to enjoy it. I've never even played it. It's my favorite game, and that's how you can enjoy what you want. Anything can be your favorite. And Jerrel, I don't know if you saw the footage of the Metroid Prime remaster, but Retro Studios must have some wizards because it's one of the best looking Switch games and it runs at 60. Oh, that's the dream, to keep things running at 60 on Switch. But if you're using your own engine or another engine, it's much better to optimize. Unity is not very performant because Unity has to be designed to make any kind of game, and there's a sacrifice for that. So I haven't seen it. All of these comments are going to be edited into a video and someone's going to cancel you on Twitter. I can't wait for Metroid Prime 2 Remastered, I hope. Yeah, all that stuff is just great, I love seeing a good remaster, I'm like you guys, I like seeing that. So here's one of my favorite things about physically based rendering here, is the sort of reflection data. So you can see there's a bit of blue tint in the shadows here. You'll probably never, well, it's going to be unlikely that you'll ever see a sort of a Silver Falls game where the shadows are just this dull black. The only time you would see that is if characters were like indoors and they were in a warehouse that had no lighting. And I will show you an example. If I exaggerate the reflection data, you'll see what I mean here. But I always like to have colors in my shadows. It helps visually. It helps things pop. And I like to lean into environmental colors and the sky color. In this case, I wanted this vibrant purple for Guardians and Metal Exterminators. So I brought up my reflection probe. And you see the intensity is at 1 at the moment. If I exaggerate that intensity a bit, you can see that now it's not rim lighting, but we can call it rim lighting because that's kind of the visual result that we have. But you can see that the lighting is now much more interesting and there's this light coming from behind. Anything that reflects light to any degree or catches light in any way will respond to this reflection probe. If you turn it right down, you can see it becomes quite dull. And then as you bring it up, it becomes more interesting. So there's a fine balance that you have to find as the visual artist. And you have to understand what sort of situations that the player will find themselves in, where the camera can go, what perspectives that camera can have. But I'm just going to leave that at the default 1. Actually, no, I think I'm going to crank that up. Let's go ahead and put that up to like 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. I'm going to leave it at 1.4 for right now because I really like how that looks, So there we go. And if you even look, if you zoom right on in there, you can actually see the data of the reflection probe, and it's picking up the campfire and the purple sky, and then is reflecting that. It's baked. It's not real time. In this situation, if you were to have this real time, it has a performance overhead and a memory overhead, and it can cause other issues because things should work correctly in Unity, but they don't, and so that has more issues beyond what you would think because many things in Unity are broken. I know I've been heaping praise on Unity today, many things are broken, and I generally have to leave that off because that is a feature that's broken. Having a real-time reflection probe is super broken, and it will break a Unity game running on Switch. So I have that baked. It's more performant, and there's no reason because the environment generally doesn't change the lighting in this game. Okay, let's go ahead and get this more realistic now. We'll get that standard, get the correct. And again, there's often a lot of manual work that I have to do to get it actually looking correct. In this particular situation, let's see here. I'll check the texture resolutions later as well. I'll check them now, actually. What do we got? So I turned off anisotropic, I turned off MIP maps for a number of these things just so to make them look better on the 3DS and to save memory as well. I'll put them back on. I don't necessarily need trilinear. Let's go ahead and put that on bilinear, and we'll apply that. And this is pretty cheap. I like to manually edit I'll put that at 512 for now. The resolution, because Unity's solution for downscaling results in soft, blurry textures, which I do not like at all. Okay, so that is not nearly shiny enough. There's something wrong with that. That's not correct at all. Oh, see, this is something I have to manually check as well. That had no compression. So, it's manually going through every single last asset in the project and just adjusting accordingly. There we go. This little belt thing. Anyway, I'll move on to something more interesting. Let's go ahead and start upscaling Fred. And hopefully I have... I already made this pretty high resolution to begin with because I wanted him to look good. Fred's a pretty cool guy, and I actually... So you can see 512 by 512 is a huge resolution for the 3DS. I wanted his shirt to look very good on the 3DS, and as a trade-off, I think I made the resolution on his pants pretty low to trade off. Is it 128? It's possibly 128. Let me see here. Yeah, I knew it. I called it, see? It's almost as if I made the game and I remember making it to some degree. Rashad Z. Unity is a general purpose engine, so it makes sense. Oh yeah, it's great because it can make basically anything. But in order to really make, one particular thing very well, you have to do a huge amount of work, not just using the engine, but figuring out how to get around everything that's broken. And there will always be many, many things very, very broken. But Unity is like a person because we're all very broken in our own ways, and we all have to find our way to make the most out of our lives despite how broken we are. And that's the story of Unity. Ooh, hey, Rashad. Okay, this is a very... Oh, Rashad Z, of course. That's like saying Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It's not the same anime, is it? Rashad Z, when Nintendo announces their next-gen console as a developer, what is on your wish list? I want a version of Unity that actually works. Hold on. What do we got here? Okay, hold on. I've got it. Here we go. I'm still learning. I would like a version of Unity that actually works. I better put my Starfield glasses back on. No, I would, look, okay, so you're talking about the console itself. Okay, so what I would really like to see from the next Nintendo console is I would like more portable functionality. I would love to see the return of Spot Pass functionality, so there's a reason to keep your Nintendo Switch 2 or the Swooch. I'm calling it the Nintendo Swooch. There's going to be the Switch U. It's going to have the U in the middle, but it's going to be an umlaut U because the umlaut U is a little smiley face, and I like smiley faces, so it just gives you a happy feeling. So I'm going to call it the Switch U or the Swooch. It will have Spot Pass functionality so that you keep your Swooch in your backpack, in your pocket, and you walk past someone on the street and you start getting spot passes like on the 3DS. Games would also use spot pass functionality. I would really, really like to see a camera. I would like to see that on the front of the console, not necessarily towards the player, but I would like to see camera facing forward so we can have augmented reality games. I would like the console to be very light, and I would like to have a dedicated VR headset. So the Swoosh should dock seamlessly into the Swoosh view. I'm going to call it the Swoosh view. You put the Swoosh view on, and it's very light, and it will have high resolution VR, but there will also be 2 cameras on the front so that you can have a 3D view of your environment as you're using the Swoosh. So I want the Swoosh to have AR and VR simultaneously. So now you have your AR and VR, and you have Spot Pass built into the Swoosh, and you can connect with other players. You can use AR, VR, and even play with other Swoosh users in real time who are next to you. It may be too much to ask for GPS positional data, so I'm not going to ask for that. I don't think that's a realistic ask, but I would love to incorporate GPS positional data in games, but I know that that's not realistic. I think that the Swoosh view, the headset, the Swoosh view, I think that's a realistic request. I feel the camera is a realistic request. I would like controllers that clip on to the Swoosh, because I like the Switch, how the controllers clip in, but one time I let my kid nephew use my Switch, and he just ripped the Joy-Cons right out of my console, and after he did that, my controllers could no longer stay clipped in, so I could no longer use those Joy-Cons in handheld mode. So I would like better controllers that have better clips. I would like the analog sticks to use Hall sensors so we don't have drifting. I would like I think that's it. I mean, that's really all that I want. One more request. I would like the Swoosh, and this is big. This is very important to me. This is extremely important. I would like the Nintendo Swoosh to be able to wirelessly send video data to the dock. So you have your dock plugged into the TV, but you no longer need to put your Swoosh into the dock to display it on the TV. It sends the signal wirelessly. This means that you can hold the Swoosh as you're sitting on the couch, and you can see your game on the TV, but you can also have your second screen. This will allow us to bring 3DS and DS games to the Nintendo Swoosh. It will allow players to have more interesting experiences, and it would allow developers to try again to use the concept of the Wii U in an ecosystem where Nintendo is fully ready to explain the concept and to support developers in exploring those game concepts. I would love to bring White Inside Its Umbra to the Nintendo Swoosh, and if we had the Swoosh able to wirelessly send video to the dock so that you can display content on the TV and content on your Swoosh screen, that would allow developers to again explore concepts that are currently not available to us. You can have, on a very basic level, you can have, I'm trying to be professional here, you can have your map and your inventory on your base screen. Even if you are the kind of developer where you are not able to invest resources in coming up with interesting and exciting ideas to use that unique format, just put the inventory and the map down there. That's all we're asking for. And leave the exciting and creative games that are innovative, leave those to the indie developers who can spend their time and resources coming up with interesting concepts and bringing those to people. So that's what I'm asking for. Don't we already got cameras in the Joy-Cons? We have. It's basically it's like an infrared sensor that sort of allows you to detect shapes, but it's not a camera. Okay, I'm gonna get caught. I might take a quick break and just make myself another coffee. Okay, I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna catch up with the chat here. For me, Raiko, for me, a brand new spanking Donkey Kong Country, Star Fox, and F-Zero games. I second that, yeah. Also, Virtual Console returns as a choice option with the subscription option. I'll take the Virtual Console. I'll buy the games again. Hey, Milo, good to see you. Jimculus, ironically enough, there was a rumor about Nintendo making a VR headset. Rock on, okay. I've been wanting that same wireless docking feature as well. And Wii U games. Let's bring Wii U games to the Nintendo Switch, right? It would make a future Mario Maker game so much better as well. Absolutely. Imagine Mario Maker on the Switch, again, in a new format where Nintendo has a second go. They've seen what can go right, what can go wrong, and I've got more game concepts that I would have loved to have brought to the Wii U that I can no longer make. And if Nintendo did a Switch, I'll be bringing unique concepts to that console. Also, it's like remote play in a way, using Wi-Fi to connect to the main dock to wirelessly display a second screen. Correct. It would be like the Wii U, but way better. Mario Maker's 1's control screen was so much better, absolutely. Brendan Goldman, hey, good to see you. Been a minute. You have my vote to replace Reggie as president of Nintendo of America. Well, Reggie's just, what a fantastic guy. What a delight. Seeing him in anything is such a delight. I would like to see more of Doug Bowser. I liked his intro where he introduced himself, but we don't get to see much of him, and I would like to see more of Doug Bowser. Unfortunately, I live in Australia, so I don't think I'm eligible to be president of Nintendo America. Jim Killis, you picked up affordable Space Adventures on the Wii U before the shop closure, and the implementation for the dual screens was amazing. Yeah. Brendan, and my Switch wish list is Kid Icarus. Yeah! And good online and backwards compatibility, in addition to what others have stated. Absolutely. A holographic 3D screen would be awesome. Someone on the last stream mentioned the Leia LumaPad. I've been looking that up. Boy, that looks neat. That looks really fantastic. I would like to make more content for Glasses Free 3D. So I want to share a concept with you guys that I wasn't able to make. I've been working on this concept for maybe 10 years, and I did not have the ability as a developer in order to create that concept. And it's an IP that I would still like to work on in the future. If Nintendo does bring out the Switch and they have the dual screen setup again, where you have your display on your handheld and then a different visual display on the TV wirelessly, I would like to bring a game, and I'll tell you guys, this is confidential, so please don't tell anyone. It's an IP that I've been working on called Go Go Glorious Mecha. And it was meant to be a Wii U game, and the idea is you team up with people locally and you all control a giant mech. Imagine going into the Power Rangers Megazord and you have to have other people with you to control the different parts of your mech, your Go Go Glorious Mecha. So you would have the engineer, and the engineer uses the Wii U gamepad, and the engineer has to direct power to and from the different parts of your mecha. You need to respond to what the enemies are doing, and if you see the enemy is preparing a big attack, because you're fighting giant kaiju, and online you would be fighting other mecha teams, then you would have to respond to what they're doing, but every action is so slow because they're all giant that you can see what's going to happen ahead of time, and it's up to you to respond in time. So if you see the enemy preparing a big energy attack, you would think, oh no, I need to route power away from the weapons, now I need to route power to our shields, and you would have 4 other people with you. There are other control schemes, so you can have between 2 and 5 local players all working together to control one mech, and the more players you have with you, obviously, the better control you'll have. So you will have one person controlling the left arm, one person controlling the right arm. You would have your engineer, you would have someone controlling the legs, you would have someone who could potentially control the head and weapons that are attached to it. You can have someone controlling your extra mobility, whether they're thruster packs, wings, boosters. So you would have a whole team piloting this one giant mech. So the core gameplay loop would be you are generally defeating kaiju. You go on missions, you defeat kaiju, and you're able to earn materials. And the materials allow you to enhance your mecha parts or build entirely new mecha parts. Your mecha pilots each individually would be using the Wii remote, and you would need the Motion Plus. So it would be like controlling a joystick, and there'd be some one-to-one movement involved. And so, say for example, you would have one of your friends over, and he's, oh, okay, I'll be the right arm, and I wanted to store data in the Wii remote. So you have your pilot data, and you have your mecha data on your save file. You're sitting at home, and you're playing, and you say, oh, I've made progress on my pilot, I've improved my mecha a little bit. So you store your pilot and your mecha data in the Wii U remote. You take that Wii U remote over to your friend's house and you say, hey, let me be the right arm on this mission. So now your friends all bring over their mechas that are stored in their Wii remotes. You plug them in and you all combine to make your own mecha. That's just a hodgepodge of different things that you're all working with together. And so every time you go over to your friend's house, you can surprise them by saying, hey, I've changed something on my mecha, check this out. And now you've got a flame sword, and your other friend has like an ice shield. And so when you need to do a big attack, you tell whoever's using the gamepad, you tell the engineer, hey man, I'm going to do a move, come on, give me some power. So, the engineer will use the gamepad touchscreen, give you all the power to the right arm, and you can do a big slash, and that's how you would play the game. And I imagine this would be very exciting to do versus matches online, because now you have competitive teams. Those are 5 people. You would have customizable pilot outfits. So in the way that Power Rangers and Super Sentai all have themed teams and they can all match, you can all create your own pilot suits and you can match each other and you all have your own mechs that all combine together. And that was the idea for Go Go Glorious Mecha. I can still do that on the Switch, which I would really like to do, but it wouldn't be exactly the same as on the Wii U because you lose that engineer being able to do that. And if I were to bring Go Go Glorious Mecha to the Switch, you would need someone just to bring a second Switch. So the second Switch would have to be the engineer who handles all that, and everyone else can just use Joy-Cons. So there we go. I've never told anyone about that concept. It's something that I am still working on. And in the future, I don't want to bring that to the Switch. I would like to put it on the Swooch. Okay, I'll catch you up here. Raiko, I had to skip getting Mario games on the VC on Wii U to get more exclusive games for the Wii U. Yeah. You only have so much money, you only have so much time. Grizdimation, you mentioned the Leia Lumapad last stream. Oh, you have it! Wow! I'd really like to make things for that. That really sounds good. Jerrel using that gamepad to the fullest, loving it. I would love to have done Go Go Glorious Mecha, but I didn't have the experience as a developer. Something like that takes an immense amount of skill and experience, and I didn't have it in time. And I really only became a proficient Wii U developer while I was finishing White Inside its Umbra for Wii U. Super idea, multiple players, one mech. That sounds awesome, to be honest. And here's the difficult problem that I'm having now with that concept on the Switch is that you cannot save information to the Joy-Cons. On the Wii U remotes, you were able to save some information on there, weren't you? And that's a shame. And I suppose you could do it with Amiibo, and that would be a great way to do it because you can save data to Amiibo. But I don't have access to getting custom Amiibo made. But hey, it's something that I could work on in the future. Ghoul Busters would rock on the Lumapad. Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I love anything 3D. You guys probably love 3D as much as I do, and so I love games that are in 3D. I would really like to make something for the Lumapad. Lunar Nights, good to see you. Hey, you might need to rewind a little bit, Luna Nights. I was just sharing my concept for Go Go Glorious Mecha. Just rewind it, watch the stream later, but it's an idea where you build a team of 5 people locally and you all pilot one giant mech. But you can take your save information home. It was meant to be save data on the Wii remote. You go home, you play your own Go Glorious Mecha save file, so you get to improve your mecha, and then it gets saved to the Wii remote, and you bring it over to your friend's house, and then you can all combine into one dude, and all your mechs parts just slam together, and you become a big Megazord. Anyway, that's something that may work in the future. So I'm really hoping the Swoosh can accommodate for something like that. And I don't know. I am business partners with Nintendo, so I hope they don't get mad that I'm calling it the Swoosh. And I hope they don't think I'm like spreading rumors like, hey, stop leaking the upcoming console data, you know. All right, let's go ahead and fix up his pants here. These are pretty low resolution, opaque. I'm not sure if I have the high resolution stuff here. Let me go. That normal data is already pretty high resolution, so where's that coming from? Where's this coming from? Oh, right. Okay. Oh, no, that's wrong. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find the actual save data. That's just sort of wrong data in there. Let me see what I can find. All right, I'm looking in my asset database. Fred, please tell me I've... Okay. So Fred is not... That's not... What have I done here? Let's see. I'm just going to grab a bunch of things here. Oh yeah, okay. This is time saving, right? This is a secret. Don't tell anybody the secret. The pants are actually, I think that uses... I think I was using that no. The shirt data is actually Moss's, and I just recolored it because I wanted to show, well, I was saving development time, but also I wanted to show a consistency that the sheriff's shirt and clothes haven't really changed much over the years. So his shirt is actually Moss's shirt from 3 Down Stars, and I recolored it a little bit. These are his own pants. I'm just trying to figure out where I stored the high-resolution assets here. And I might just take a break in a moment to refill my coffee. So let's see, I've got his shoes. But those are his modern clothes. I'm looking at his modern clothes here. I'm gonna let my computer search for Fred, and then hopefully I can find those. So, all right, 2 seconds. Hey guys, I'm just going to make a coffee here. So let me just zoom out here. I'll refill my coffee. Yeah, his suspenders and his pants I made for. Okay, it's hard to see. I'm just gonna guess that I'm clicking on the right thing here. Go ahead and bring that out here. These days I'm using a trackball. That's because I had injured basically every joint in my arm, shoulder, and back. I injured working so feverishly on the Wii U and 3DS games. So these days I use a Kensington trackball. And after a whole bunch of physical training, I recovered from all those injuries, and I can't afford to injure myself any further. So I'll be using this trackball for my primary work because it's long hours working on these games. All right. Gino say, we all getting the Swoosh? I'm getting Swoosh day one, man. I'm going to put in a formal request to Nintendo that I get a development unit for Swoosh immediately. I've got concepts ready to go. If Nintendo announces the Swoosh, I'm going to start work on Go Glorious Mecha right away, and I will have Go Glorious Mecha to launch on launch day. It'll be a launch title. That's a promise from me, Jerrel Dulay, developer of the Silver Falls games. Go Glorious Mecha for the Nintendo Swoosh. Jim Killis. Personally, I can't wait to see what Nintendo will do with their IPs once they have a huge increase in processing power. I'd like to see that too. Really looking forward to that. A big Nintendo fan, obviously. I really am passionate about Nintendo. Swoosh would still be a better name than the new Nintendo Switch or something. It's a nightmare having the word new in your title, especially as I'm the developer and publisher, and it was a nightmare trying to explain to people what consoles your games would run on, when you've got the word new in there. Very difficult. So, Switch U, love the U. Yeah, but it's got to be the U with the umlaut, because it's a smiley face, and I think smiley faces, they just give you a positive energy. They make you feel nice and happy. All right, one more thing here. Let me just get that hat. Let me fix the shader for the hat. I'm going to grab a coffee, and then I'll be right back. Okay, this star is bothering me. I've got to fix that before. Okay, there we go. Nice. Nice. Okay, we're looking good. Looking good. Okay. Those pants are so shiny. See, it doesn't have the specular data. I'm letting my computer just search through my database right now so I can find the files for that. I need to redo his hair as well. See, for example, you see how it's so blocky? That's how it looks like on the 3DS. I'll just borrow Gold's hair for a second here, see? So I'll click on that. Oops. And this is going to be super wrong, right? It's going to look so off. But you see how it's blocky like that? Let me just grab Gold's hair. Actually, I'll just duplicate it for Bull. Oh no, it doesn't. That's not right. Oh boy. Wow, that just looks so wrong, doesn't it? Wow. Ooh, that looks so wrong. That's some sharp denim he's wearing too. Okay, let me see if I have his hair assets in here. And it looks like I do. Here we go. Let's go ahead and fix that now. So we'll go ahead and open this up. We have that there. Let's see, I have the weird hair base color. Let's stick this in there and hope that it looks all right. All right, how's it look? Oh, much better. Okay. And usually what I like to do, let's see, in general, so that's the hair, right? I do manual work on that to adjust it. What I'm going to do is just disable MIP maps on it, just to have that nice sharp look to it. Yeah, that's better. Well, that's better. It's a little on the shiny side, so I'm going to adjust that so it's less shiny. It was, see, because I copied Gold's hair as a starting point, so I didn't have to make another material from scratch. But red hair is generally less shiny. I need to get out of the way. I'm really in the way here. I can't see what I'm doing because I'm blocking the inspector window. What if I just cut down on that? Yeah, I'll just cut down. Where? Come on! I'm in the way. Alright. Anyway, I'm going to refill my coffee. I'll be right back. Real meaty bacon. Bull has a bacon beard. Lunanites, man, I could imagine what Jerrel could do on the Wii U, the possibilities. Yeah, I've still got plenty of concepts that would rely on the Wii U's controls. So, hey, I will return after these messages. What does Goku do to instant transmission? This? Does he do that? I gotta lock onto somebody's key here. Hey, I'm back. I just made my coffee here. Alright, we can get rid of this thing. How's the chat doing? Okay, so in case anyone wasn't aware, this is now our second live stream from the new studio. And that is just a nice whole wall that's just a green screen space. I have a permanent recording booth here. We're able to do a live stream in a nice setup. I can have multiple workstations here. I now have my primary workstation separate from the live broadcast, so now we won't have the computer slow down. We can do more playing the game together. We can run the 3DS Silver Falls games. I can run it on the computer and play with the controller, and I can live stream it and share it with you guys. And this is just such a great, comfortable space to work in now. I have so much more operating environment, and I can live stream more often. I've planned a whole bunch of fun things, and I have these really sweet shades now because I'm such a big Starfield fan. So I want to share my. This is not a normal coffee. This is actually a apple cider coffee. I'm going to share my recipe with you. Crispy, how's it going? Thanks. So I'm going to share my apple cider coffee recipe with you. So I just put, I just use ground coffee. I'm not a big coffee guy. But what I will do is I'll just put, like your normal amount of instant coffee. I don't know what you call it. Okay, you just stick it in there. Your Folgers, your Folgers, right? You put your Folgers in your cup. You boil your water. I like to put 1 teaspoon of cinnamon sugar in there. Not ground cinnamon. You're going to have a pretty bad time. You want cinnamon sugar in there. I use 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, but you can use a sugar-free syrup substitute. I will use 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, and 3 parts your boiling water, 1 part apple juice. And if you do that, so I would say fill it up, about that much with your hot water, and then the rest, some apple juice, and you'll have yourself a nice apple cider coffee. Oh, that's nice. ASMR channel, there we go. So, yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm still waiting on a couple components. I'm fixing up a few more things, and then I'll share a tour of the studio with you guys. And I'm still working out the audio and visual component, but in my office, which I've torn down and rebuilt, and I've set up all the new workstations again. I'm working on mounting cameras so that we can do live streams while I'm sitting at the workstations. How can you do like a cool, nice anime glare with cool glare? No, they look like they are being photoshopped in real time. Yeah, that's kind of neat. All right, Jimculus. I heard that game developers have to release more smaller titles frequently opposed to bigger titles that take longer to make to keep their studio afloat. Would you say that is true with your studio? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm not doing that as as an emergency measure. That's something that I had always planned from the beginning. And it's not just in order to keep the studio functioning and bringing in revenue, which is important. You need to bring in regular revenue for your studio. It's that if you keep giving people full-sized, large-scale products, and I hate to call, games products, but at the end of the day, I'm a business. I am creating a product, and I'm selling the product to you. And that's a mechanical way to explain what's happening. But, that's not all there is to it. But if you keep giving people large-scale products, the expectation for those products will continue to grow, and you will have a serious issue with escalation, because now you are expected to keep escalating your product until it is no longer sustainable. Have a look at what happened with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Is it kept escalating and escalating, and people expected things to get bigger and bigger and bigger until it was not sustainable anymore. I think the clearest example of problematic escalation would be with Resident Evil 6, where suddenly the games had escalated to a point where they no longer represented the core aspects that people identified with Resident Evil. And that's why, from the very beginning, even before planning the first Silver Falls set of games, was I needed to create a series that would be able to handle a very long-term lifespan while avoiding problematic escalation. And my idea for that was to have one large game every once in a while supported by smaller titles. And the smaller titles would not necessarily be less or worse, but they would be designed so that I can develop them in a shorter amount of time and people can enjoy them in a way that is not exhausting. For example, when I play a Final Fantasy game, for example, I'm exhausted by the end of it. And if I, say I played a Final Fantasy game, played through it, I finish it, I don't want another one right away. I can't invest, another 30, 40 hours, then I'm tired. I want to do something else. And that is how I've designed the Silver Falls series, is if I develop this series with this format, then I will not need to worry about escalation, and I will constantly be able to bring something different and refreshing to people, and I am no longer beholden to creating a product that matches a formula or a pattern. I am free to create something interesting and exciting for people that isn't exhausting. And that's why I have so many different games like Guardians and Metal Exterminators and Ghoul Busters, and especially I would say Gaiden Deathly Delusion Destroyers, which is the oddest one out of the bunch because it's its own genre. It's a battle RPG, and it comes packaged with Ruby River, and it has to exist packaged with Ruby River. And if I were to follow the typical video game franchise formula, I would not be able to create these creative games. They would all just end up being, all survival horror. They would all be the exact same thing as 3 Down Stars, but somehow they just keep getting worse and worse because the developer's getting tired, and then you have to find new developers, and then new developers don't understand what makes that game IP unique and how people identify that game concept. So this is a way to ensure longevity and to constantly push myself as not just a game developer, but as a game designer, and to give something interesting to you guys. Cyberpunk Silver Falls. Rewind video, how's it going? Fine, I guess I'll play Silver Falls again on Wii U. Alright. Crispy, I find it really hard to come up with something that is small in scope, realistic, and yet still appealing, stands out. That's difficult, trying to reach all of those things. And Crispy, how I think of it is I try to think of something that I would like to play that I am not yet able to play, that I don't have available to me. I think about, man, what would I like? What would be fun? What do I feel like right now that I don't have? And that's how I start my game concepts. Basically like a wish fulfillment. A dream pillow. Super large projects are kind of scary. Working on a game for 6 years and further not knowing if it's going to succeed or not. The pressure must be brutal. Oh yeah, absolutely. And a lot of projects crumble under that pressure. Unfortunate. Crispy, how did it feel to complete your first game ever? I thought I was going to be very happy, but I was just relieved to be outside of the pressure of having to develop this game under very difficult circumstances. It is the development software I was using was extra broken. I'd been using it by about 3 or 4 years at that point, and it was just constantly finding one problem after another, and it felt like I was never going to get this game finished. I was never going to get it approved by Nintendo. And then I knew it was always a reality that people were not going to like this game, and I knew that there were glitches, and I knew that there were going to be more glitches that I couldn't keep track of, because something I didn't even learn until the final month of developing on the 3DS is when you deploy a build, When you've finished all your work, you've done all your testing, you tell Unity, okay, spit out the files so I can send that off to Nintendo. I learned very late that Unity 3DS will actually just randomize a bunch of random stuff and just randomly break things. And that's life, isn't it? Which meant for the version, here's how close it was that Silver Falls, Gaiden, Deathly Delusion Destroyers, and Ruby River almost didn't get launched. They were 2 days away. I had 2 days left to get a working build of that working. And it, by the time I had submitted it, and it took me 2 weeks, 2 weeks non-stop of building the ROM file out of Unity and then putting it on hardware, running it on hardware, and testing it. I had to test each build for about 3 hours to tell whether or not Unity had broken something to where the game was no longer functional. It was 2 weeks non-stop, it was 130 hours, and I was still working on the other games as well simultaneously. It took 2 weeks for the final, or for the launch day build of Gaiden Deathly Delusion Destroyers, and there was a very real chance that Unity still randomly would not give me a working build. It is a miracle that the game works at all, and by the time I'd submitted the game, that build had to be approved by Nintendo because there were only 2 days left, and if they didn't receive it and approve it, the game would not launch, and we would not have the final game for the Nintendo 3DS. So that's how close we cut it. And every time I finished a 3DS game, I wouldn't say finish because I want to keep updating and improving them, but every time I had one submitted and ready to launch, I wish that I could say that I was very happy, but instead I was just relieved to have this immense, gargantuan pressure off my chest, because working on the 3DS, it was a nightmare. Everything about it was not functional. So that's it. But hey, we're working on the Switch now full time. We're making games in a much better version of the engine. Brennan Goldman, yes, not every game needs 40-hour playtime. Unique and crafted experience is what people playing indie games want. Absolutely. And with Silver Falls, as you've seen, I generally try to have a frontier mode. So you have the core experience, which allows me to make something that is focused, that I know what experience I want to share with people, and the frontier mode allows you to keep enjoying that game for as long as you want, as much as you want, while adding something to the core experience. Okay, let me see. I'm just going through my asset database here. And I think I may have... No, I've clicked on the wrong... Okay. I have to wait for Nintendo for Windows to now organize my files, and I'll get the HD files in here. I think I found it. Okay. See here. Alright. I'm kind of thinking, no, see, those are not the files I'm looking for. Those are not, oh man, I kind of think I gutted these assets on the fly. That's kind of frustrating. What do I got here? What is this? Oh. Come on. Alright, okay. Ooh, I think I found the files I'm looking for. Great. So I mentioned in my previous stream, there's something you do called gutting assets on the fly, where you need to optimize your assets, and you generally manually, outside of the engine, you manually reduce the resolution and whatnot. Generally, you want to use an external file in your asset database. You edit that, you create a duplicate, put that in. And in order to save time, because I was working on all these Silver Falls games in such a short amount of time, I gutted assets in the engine, which you should probably never do, but I needed to save time, so yeah. Oh, okay, I'm going to catch up to the chat here. Yeah, your smaller games have good replayability thanks to the gameplay loop and detail. I love that. I just want to make the kind of game that I would enjoy playing. If I were to find it and think, shoot, I can play for a couple minutes, I can play for an hour. Something fun. Alex Menjivar, hey, good to see you. Would you make a Silver Falls card game? Okay, everyone in the chat, no spoilers. Okay, I'm working on that right now. You know what? Let me open some of my. I'm going to open some of my development notes here and I'll share them with you. How about that? So I am working on that. It's a physical card game. You can trade them with people. I'm calling it a trading card game, but no one's going to be taking these to school and trading them. But I'm calling it a trading card game anyway. Let me see. Let me open up my notes here. So I have a couple different series that I'm developing. So let me see here. Okay, so I'm gonna read some details for the Silver Falls trading card game. Again, this is a secret. Don't tell anyone. I don't want to spoil this for too many people. But since Alex has asked, and I answer questions, so Series 1, I haven't finalized the name for this card series yet. For the Silver Falls trading card game, the first series covers all games in the modern timeline, everything that takes place from the events of White Inside Its Umbra to Gaiden. So in the modern timeline, White Inside Its Umbra takes place about 6 months ago, and Gaiden takes place 2 or 3 weeks after 3 Down Stars. So Wii U is the earliest game, and Gaiden is the latest game in terms of story. And every every series has its own sort of theme to it. It'll have characters. The characters and the cryptids will be from those games, and there are skill cards that you can attach to your characters. So in the Series 1, which for now is probably going to be called Lost in Time, or just Frontier as the starter. I haven't decided yet. I need to do the branding and the labeling and see what looks best. And I think I may just go with Lost in Time because Frontier is too vague, I think. So the Silver Falls TCG, Lost in Time, the skill cards are skill links and skill spokes. And so those come from 3 Down Stars and White Inside Its Umbra. Series 2, I think, will be called Destiny Breakers, and that covers the 90s era of Silver Falls games. So Ghoul Busters, Vicarious Brothers, Galaxy Bound Curse, and Super Silver Falls, which I think I just spoiled. Oops. And that's going to use skill items from those games, so I got to be careful what I read out loud now. Okay, it looks like Series 3 covers anything from the 80s, so that's going to be Guardians and Metal Exterminators, Deadly Shadows, and stuff that I'm not going to read out loud. So I've already done that. Series 4 for the card game will cover the games that take place after Gaiden. So RPG, which is Road Past Guilt, that takes place after Gaiden. So Series 4 of the trading card game will cover RPG and then a couple of games that are in that stretch of time as well. But not before... Okay, so I got to be careful what I'm reading out loud here. All right, I'll stop reading. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to read some development notes here for Silver Falls trading card game. Starter deck. Player's deck must consist of exactly 60 cards. No Yu-Gi-Oh nonsense over here. You can't bring 500 cards into a game. The starter deck, okay, so how it works is you have a deck for humans and a deck for beasts. You cannot mix and match the human cards and the beast cards. One player has to play using their human deck, and the other player has to play using their beast deck.
So you can't have human versus human. You can't have beast versus beast. It has to be one or the other. And in that way, I think it's interesting because you're not just maintaining one competitive deck, you're maintaining two different kinds of competitive decks. And you have, say, for example, your skill links and your skill spokes that can only be used in your human deck. You cannot use those in your beast deck. Okay. And the starter deck, this is just how you sell the starter deck, but you customize your deck. The starter deck comes with 15 combatants, 8 weapons, 8 armors, 6 skills, 15 items, and 8 tools. There we go. Yeah, anyway, I'll go more into that, whatnot. Let's see here. Let's see. I have a couple notes here. These are called mechanical considerations. In my mechanical considerations, there must be no renewable source of healing HP or reviving defeated combatants. This would cause stalemate matches where no player would win or lose. Another note, all healing and reviving must have a strict limit if activated from an ability or come from a consumable item. And skills which auto-respawn, say for example counterattack, skills which auto-respawn and restore health must have some kind of strict mechanical limit, such as a usage counter. You know, it goes on and on. There's a couple of mechanical considerations, but yeah, just to show you, I am working on the Silver Falls trading card game, and that may not come until next year, but I want the cards to look really good. I've got a manufacturer that can do holographics, so we'll be doing, you have your standard cards, your combatants, there will be character alts as well, so you can get multiple versions of a character wearing different outfits and different themes, and I'm not calling them holographic, there'll be Starglass cards, which are like enhanced versions of normal cards that look very cool. Anyway. Alright. Now let me catch up to the chat here. Jim Kill says, crazy how AAA dev cycles keep getting longer and longer and longer. Yeah, it's frustrating because they're games that I would like to play. A card game would be dope. I mean, Tears of Kingdom took 6 years to make. I think it was worth the wait. Lost in Time sounds more distinctive, yeah. Nikatha, and that's just the name of the series, you know. It would be Silver Falls TCG, and then each series has a name attached to it. Nikatha, and do you experience with card game playtesting? It's incredibly tricky, but when done well, it's amazing. I'll be doing testing locally, so I'll have people around coming into the studio to test, and I'll keep fine tuning. So I'll have to do beta sets of the cards. So I'll have to keep those under lock and key and make sure no one wanders out of my studio with the beta cards and sells them on eBay. Yu-Gi-Oh! Changed that rule a long time ago, yeah. It's now max of 60 cards in the main deck and a max of 15 in the extra and side deck, yeah. I'm not going to try to take Jerrel out of it, of course, but drumming up support on Game Found or Kickstarter is basically essential for an indie game launch in the 2020s, at least in the US. Yeah. Otak, yeah, it's tough getting all that stuff, but I'm looking for solutions where people can buy it online and it's produced on the spot and then it's delivered to you, so I don't have to worry about an investment where I need, like, oh, can you guys please help me raise $50,000. The development time that I spend on the card game is funded by the other projects in the studio. So the Silver Falls games, the Silver Falls merchandise, they all work together in an ecosystem to where they fund the other projects that I create. And in Patreon, that helps fund things as well. Especially when I've been setting up the new studio and the new office, the Patreon has been extremely vital for that. So. Gino's saying, oh, that reminds me, where's your Starglass for Frontier Hunters? Oh, send me a message and I'll get that. Did you not get the code for that? I'll get each of the decks. I know a big CCG scene around San Antonio and Austin. We'll break the hell out your game for you. No worries. Hey, that's awesome. Thanks. Let me just, okay. Let me find, where did I put my high resolution textures here? I'm just going to grab them now. Okay. Large icons. Okay. Oh, that's not the right folder, is it? Okay, I'm just going to copy all these files here. Okay, copy. Let's see, go to my Fred Hardluck folder here. Okay. So I'm going to start doing videos where I cover just one game, and I'll be doing cut content and features that didn't get to make it into the game. Stuff that may actually even be in the code that exists in the game that you can't access during gameplay. Alright, so I'm importing the stuff now because there's a lot. There's always so much. One thing that I did originally want for Guardians and Metal Exterminators was alternate outfits, but character modeling takes a fair bit of time, and so I had to cut that out. At least for Gold, Oxa, and Shauna, I wanted alternate outfits, but yeah, I didn't have time. I had to leave out the alternates. Rewind video. Now that's a card game I can get behind. I love that idea. Maybe I'll actually be good at a card game for once. LOL. See, here's what I find exciting about the human and the beast decks. Say, okay, let's just pretend, you know, you go to an event and people are playing Silver Falls TCG. You have two decks, and maybe you flip a coin, right? And whoever gets the coin toss correct, they get to pick which deck they use. They get to pick whether they use the human or the beast deck, which means they force the other person to use one of their decks. So you know how you get to know players, and you generally start to figure out, oh, that player is not, their beast deck isn't that good, their human deck isn't that good, and it gives you a chance to sort of level the playing field if you know what sort of deck your opponent has. And I think that's going to add something interesting to this particular card game. GameFound Kickstarter would be more for exposure than anything else. That's a really good idea. You know, I may do that. That is a really good. Is there an official Silver Falls timeline in your website? No, Alex, there isn't. And I don't want to do that because I want people to just sort of stumble their way through the games and wonder and ask themselves questions, because the games will tell you what order they take place in, but they tell you organically just by playing the game itself. And that's why I put so much effort in making the games in different art styles, and also creating characters in different decades and then creating new character models for them. And I study clothes from certain eras. I study language and, you know, just people's attitudes from certain eras, so I can write dialogue that matches that era. I can create clothes that match that era. And that's just part of the development, or the creation process for me. I admit I'm personally against random pack games, but I love games like Android Netrunner and Summoner Wars where the buyer knows exactly what they're getting. Oh, okay. So for Silver Falls trading card game, you're going to be able to buy whichever card that you want, but I'm still working out with different manufacturers and distribution. So the way that I would like it, I don't know if it's possible, but I would like players to be able to pick, like a booster pack would have 10 cards in it, right? I would like players to be able to pick 3 cards. They're definitely going to get those 3 cards, and then the other 7 cards are random. So that gives you the chance to actually get something extremely rare and valuable still randomly, but you're at least getting 3 cards that you know that you definitely want those. Because booster packs, I understand how exploitative and negative they can be, because you're basically gambling and you're bleeding people for money, and there's no guarantee that that player is going to get anything that they actually want. But if you let that player pick 3 cards that they definitely want, the other 7, maybe you're going to get, you know, some stuff that they didn't want, but also they have the opportunity to get cards that maybe they didn't even think about that may end up being very useful to them. And they could end up getting something very cool. So there's still that element of random excitement that you could get something really cool, but there's a guarantee that you're getting 3 cards that you picked. I don't know if I can find a manufacturer who will do that, and if I am able to sort of work that out, I may have to handle all of that packaging myself. Let's see. All right. Let's check out the shirt here. Okay. And then I'll get caught up on the chat after I do a little bit of work. It's fun chatting, you know, we can just do whatever. It's I'm happy with anything. Okay. Alrighty. Keep those anisotropic filtering that up to. Okay. Let's catch up with the chat here. Let's see. Gino say not yet, but there's a load of integral games between the released ones that aren't out yet. Yeah. There's a lot coming. There's a lot to look forward to. Ikatha, have you played Netrunner? It is also an asymmetric card game. Whoa, that sounds cool. I'll look that up. One player plays a corporation and the other plays a hacker trying to steal their secrets. That's awesome. Jim Killis, Silver Falls 3D platformer when? LOL. Gino's Ace says Silver Falls 64. Just you wait. Okay, let me just bring something up here. There's no promise on this, but it's been in development and planning for a while here. But it's not a priority right now because there's a modern day story that I'm trying to tell and move forward. But I need to pair those with games that are set in the past in a way that's satisfying and interesting for people from a story standpoint. And the way that you meet characters and you spend time with characters, it's very important that I pair the games set in a previous time. It's very important that I pair those with the modern day games as well. So here's the logo. There we go. So that's been in development for a while. So there we go. Silver Falls 64, baby. Alright, enough of that. I gotta get these let me get these textures all up in here. Okay, so we're working on the shirt, right? What do we got? Top base color. Here we go. Oh, the patch is not going to be on there. I'll have to find Moss's shirt. Yeah. I'll leave that for now. Top, let's get that. This is the real normal map in there. Yep, fix that. Let's see, the metallic and smoothness. And I know that this map has inverted data, so let me go ahead and fix that top metallic smoothness. Go ahead and get that into Photoshop. Okay, that should fix it. Go back into Unity, now it's fixed. Okay, that's great. That is now correct data. And then we need our, let's see, ambient occlusion map. Here we go. Top ambient occlusion, here we go. There we go. And again, with my so we're going to pick that ambient occlusion, the top ambient occlusion, and the metallic smoothness. Again, this is an optimization, and I find that in general developers often just don't do this. There's no reason for them to be high resolution. That's 2048 by 2048, which is an obscene amount of memory for those maps. So I'm going to cut them down to 256. It doesn't matter if they're a little blurry. I'll let Unity handle that for me. Otherwise, I would go out of the engine and I would do that manually myself. Okay, just need to make sure that clip is shiny. It's supposed to be metal. Make sure it's catching the light just right. I don't know about that. I'm going to have a look at that. I'm not sure if that's as shiny as it should be. Okay. Ah, look at how the badge catches the light. That's pretty cool, right? Okay, let's go ahead and fix up these suspenders. Let's see. Go ahead and get that high resolution here. So this is just going to be a very long process. This is what I'm going through in order to upscale Guardians and Metal Exterminators. I'm bringing it from the 3DS to the Nintendo Switch. Unless Nintendo announces the Swooch, maybe I'll bring it to the Swooch instead. Alright. Let's see. Base color here. Let's get the base color. There we go. Alright. Normal, fix that. Okay, metallic and smoothness. Ah, I missed. Ambient occlusion. And again, the resolution on the ambient occlusion and metallic and smoothness, I'm going to cut that down. And again, I actually may just cut the resolution down to 512 actually, because you never really get that close to the suspenders to even see that level of detail, and you see how the specular data is incorrect, right? Again, so I'm going to have to run my actions here through Photoshop, and I'll fix that up. Quick Smart, just here, save. Okay. Go back, and that has fixed the specular data, and now the buckles are shinier. They'll catch the light just right. Zoom in there. You can see the buckles catch the light correctly. So I'll show you an example here. All right. So those are the suspenders. If I let Unity reduce the quality or the resolution in engine, it's going to be quite blurry. So let's just say I want that 512. Let's see if that's acceptable for what we want here. See, that's fine. That's totally fine because I'm never going to get that close. So in this situation, as a time-saving consideration, it's better to let Unity do that. Let's bring down to 256 and see what happens. So now it's a little blurry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that, and this time I'm going to manually edit that resolution outside of engine. I'm going to use Photoshop. I'm going to manually reduce it to 256, and I'm going to sharpen it. So bicubic sharper. Let's see here. Filter. I'm going to use an unsharp mask to make it sharp. I'm going to save that, and now we'll compare. So that took a little, it didn't take that much time, but when you have hundreds and hundreds of textures in your game, that is going to be a significant endeavor. So now let's go ahead and compare how blurry. So that's Unity reducing the resolution on those suspenders, and here I've manually reduced the resolution outside of engine, and you can see it's significantly sharper. So it depends on what you have time for. It depends on the end product that you want. In this situation, I'm going to use the ones that I manually edited because I want that sharpness in there so you can see the pattern on the suspenders. Okay. Oh, yeah, and yeah. I manually paint the skin textures for the characters to enhance them, and I don't know if I have the high resolution for that sitting nearby at the moment for the characters' bodies. I'll have to have a look. Let's see, what resolution is this? That's very low resolution. Is that? Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, yeah, I think I kept it. This is a situation where I was past Jerrel, was looking out for future Jerrel, and I actually put the high resolution asset here in case I wanted it for the future. So, thanks, past me. I appreciate it. That was really considerate of you. Ah! Oh no! That's upsetting. Sorry about that. That shocks me every time, doesn't it? Okay. So let's have a look at the character here. You can see it's a lower resolution. I'm going to bring in the higher resolution albedo map. Something doesn't seem right. That's not something's. Oh right. I think this one needed more work. Any's body normal. Let's get the normal in there. No, this map is not. This one's not ready. This one's not completed. I shouldn't be using that one. I'll have to go back into the database. Okay. That's an unfinished one, isn't it? That's an unfinished one. Yeah. Okay. I'll get back to it. No big deal. I'll have to look farther back. I gutted that on the fly, which is really irritating. Oh well. Okay, and we'll finish up with the pants here. Them's the shiniest pants I've ever seen. I'll get back to the chat in just a moment. I'll go ahead and finish up Fred here. I mean, I have to do some work. I said I was going to do some work. Alright. There we go. That looks better. Now, let's see, we got our metallic and smoothness. That's going to be wrong, So I'll go ahead and fix that. And our ambient occlusion. So bottom, ambient occlusion. Okay. Bottom, metallic and smoothness. Let's go ahead and fix that now. Bring that into Photoshop. There we go. And now I've fixed that in Photoshop. Give it a second to save. Bring that back into Unity, and now it's correct. There we go. And so, yep, that's right. The leather on the belt is shiny. There we go. And you can see it's actually, the mesh is actually warped because it's using lower resolution meshes, right? So the clothes are a lower resolution mesh. What I'm going to, like, you can see how sharp that is there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to test past me, and I'm going to see if past me left the high resolution meshes in there so that future me would have an easier time. Shoot. Oh, shoot. I don't see it in here. It's not in the project folder. Ooh. Wow, I must have been really pressed for time because I was sort of thinking, past to me would have left that high resolution model in there. Let's see. I'm gonna see. Okay, I have this one here. I think past me may have left it in the database here. Oh shoot. No, that's not it. Oh, bugger. Oops. Okay, so past me is kind of letting me down a little bit here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna search for that file name. I think I've got the HD one. So, come on, past me. What are you doing? You're letting me down a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna catch up with the chat while my computer searches for that file name. Catch up with the chat. All right. Rewind video. Also, my good friend owns a retro video game and card game store and does card game events at his store and is always looking for new card games to do newer events with. Plus, I shoot video ads. Hey, that's awesome. That'd be great. You know, any help that you guys can share would be really fantastic. I'd really appreciate that. Oh no, what happened to Fred? Yikes. Well, that's life, isn't it? Fred's gone, everybody. We've lost him. Uh-oh. Well, that's life. Okay, computer, keep searching. Right, so it can't be that one. Who knows? Nukatha, that's actually an interesting idea. Mega Silverfall 60. Oh, wait. Hold on. I would love to make Genesis games. I love that sound card. I love the sound chip. I want to make Genesis music. I'd love to make a Genesis game. Yeah, that's a big factor. The chronology would kind of mess up the concept of the different games. It would give too much back-loaded necessity to understand the concept between them. Yeah, so you have to be very careful with a game series like Silver Falls. You can't just make whatever, you know. It has to be very well considered. I like the idea of playing them in any order and just kind of presuming how certain events shape certain characters. Absolutely. That's you understand the concept entirely. It's a lot of involvement from the player, and I trust people to just experience and understand the story in their own way. And certain games are sort of designed to let you misinterpret things so that you feel certain opinions towards characters. Yep, starring a character we've already sort of met. Yeah, exactly. Dream Pilot, did it take place in 1964? Yes, Silver Falls 64 will be an N64 style game. The art style will look like a platformer from the N64 era, and it will take place in the year 1964. Dream Pilot, I just knew from the typeface style. 3D platformers are hands down my favorite genre of game. I'm a big 3D platformer guy. Whether it's open world or Crash Bandicoot, I'm a big Crash guy. I love me some Zelda. So, yeah, I love that. Mikata. And last for me, with the understanding that you're just one man and updating them is incredibly tricky and they won't make you any money. Are there any 3DS Wii U updates still on the table? Yes. I'm still working out how to get them launched, but I am working on them. And there are updates that are done and ready to roll out. I'm just trying to, and I'm working with Nintendo. Can I even get them rolled out? So it's a technical, it's a technical challenge that we're working to overcome at the moment. Rewind. My GF has also has a degree in game design, as she is explaining everything you are doing at the moment to me and what each function is. That's exciting. How cool is that? How neat. That's really awesome. I'm assuming your GF means Guardian Force from Final Fantasy VIII. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. But I'm assuming your GF is a magical being who is very smart and very pretty and has magical powers and can beat up your enemies for you. That's just, I'm going to assume. Jim Killis, are you going to make his beard 3D? Whose beard? Which beard now? They're all 3D. They're all 3D meshes. Let's see, Nikatha, from what the last stream stated, he's planning to get them out, but the method in which you can update in 3DS is quite a bit more complicated than it was. Yeah, it changed when the shop ended, so, yeah. Chris B, you're off to bed. Hey, good to see you, Chris B. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on the next one. One day you're sheriff, the next day your sideburns and hat. I think the best 3D platformer ever made is probably Super Mario Galaxy 2. I'm a big fan of that. I really like that. I really like a second player being able to use the Wiimote and shoot star bits. One of my mates likes to come over and waste my star bits, and I'm just kind of seething like, ooh, I needed those, but that's fine. You got to let your friends waste your star bits. That game is so well designed, I don't even know how it exists. I really need to check that one, still haven't played it. Personally, my favorites are Sonic Adventure and Psychonauts. Nice. You made my Guardian Force blush. Hey, when you've got a good Guardian Force, you got to keep your Guardian Force happy, and you'll look after each other. Okay, computer, what have you found? All right, what have we got? Yes. I got it. Okay, Past Me did save the HD character file. I put it in the project folder, which I should have checked for. So that's on me. I shouldn't have gotten so disappointed with Past Me. Let's see here. Alright, let me move this file across. And this is, again, something that I'll have to do with every single character. And then, of course, each character mesh requires its own degree of manual optimization as well. So that takes some time doing, manual optimization. Humanoid rig. Yep. I do not want those, no. No, let's go ahead and go to model. I do not need the blend shapes. Where's read, write, enable, off? Okay, good. Right, okay. Now let's, I don't know if I messed this up. Okay. Let's go ahead and fix it. Can we fix it? Right, so we'll go to the body. Will that work? Okay, this may be a nightmare, everybody. Just hang on to your hats. Okay, we're good. We're good. Oh, see, here's some fun behind the scenes. So the model that I'm using now is HD. It's a higher poly count. It's the highest poly count I have for this character. And you can see I haven't gone through the stages of manual optimization to the point where I haven't removed some of the polygons. So he still has his belly button, in case I wanted to give him like a midriff t-shirt. I left those in there. No, I'm just joking. I wouldn't. Right. Okay. Let's get the rest of his his high poly count model now. We got his pants. Put them pants in there. It's a high poly count pants. So remember before, and I'll do a before and after, but before how the belt was sort of messed up and distorted. You can see the belt is now smooth. This is very high poly count stuff here. Eyes, get them eyes in there. Let's see his shoes. Get the shoes in there. Yep, they're fine. Okay, we gotta hide them midriffs, man. Okay, we'll get the shirt. There we go. And you can probably tell right off the bat it's quite smoother and more detailed. And with the suspenders, get them high resolution suspenders in there. Okay, there we go. And we have our high poly count, high resolution character. So now graphically, he's now ready. I can put him back into the game and everything is going to work fine. His previous version, again, so I'm going to toggle back to his shirt, to his low resolution shirt now. So I'm not changing back the material, like the textures. I'll change the mesh and you'll see the difference. Okay, so now this is high resolution now, it's going to the low resolution now. And you can see it's a little more blocky, but from a distance, you wouldn't really notice it. Again, we'll go back to the high resolution. And the difference wasn't that bad because this was a manual adjustment. I had manually created that low resolution, or the low poly count version of that, so it wasn't so bad. When you use automated systems, you get things like Cyberpunk 2066, I think was one example, where they let the game engine programmatically create those low resolution textures and models, and that's when things start to look quite horrible. So we'll do the same thing with the pants now, and it's a bit more noticeable on the pants because I really cut down the resolution, or the poly count. So that's the high resolution. Come on, Windows. And I'll just get the low resolution now. We'll bring that into the low resolution. And you can see it's quite blockier, and it's along the belt is kind of messed up. But again, from a distance, you wouldn't notice it. The problem is when the knees bend. That's when you'll see a problem. I'll just go ahead and bend the knee, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, we're bending the knee. I did a pretty good job with that, didn't I? Yeah, that's one of the problems that you'll see. So one leg didn't turn out so great, and that's because it's low poly count, and I was really scratching the bottom of the barrel for optimizing in Guardians and Metal Exterminators. So what I'll do now is I'll put the high poly count HD model back in place for the pants. Now it's HD. Okay. Bend the knee again, and this time you'll see that it looks significantly better. And there we go. Alright, we're looking good. So what I will do for Fred, but there's still optimizing that I would like to do for that. So I'll have to go, after the stream, I can work more efficiently because I will just be focusing on just getting this stuff done. So what I'll do is I'll go to Overrides and I will apply. There we go. Let me catch up to the chat here. Yukatha. The guy you are working on right now is who I was referring to. Maybe it's the texture instead of the mesh making it look a bit flat. Oh, right. It's probably, yeah. It's probably just the texture that makes it look like that. Yeah, it's a 3D. Oh, like that's his chin. That's just part of the texture, but his yeah, that's going to stay as a texture. Because it's meant to be more stubble, more so than anything else. And that, I'll put that in, it'll be the high quality hair. You know, like Gold's hair is the high quality stuff. Let's zoom in on that. There we go, like that. Ooh, yeah, nice hair. I like that. I like that nice mustache there. I didn't mean to make it sound like that. Yeah, it looks alright. Looks good. And I have this sort of an overlay texture as well, so you can sort of get what looks like skin. So that may look too rough, right? Like it's really bumpy. But I know that you never see a character in this game, you never see them from that up close. You only see them from a distance. So I've made that more rough so that from a distance it's more visible. It breaks that line of shadow, and instead of them looking like a doll with plastic skin, it makes them look more organic. You see, especially from this distance, where it starts to feel like textured skin as opposed to just a doll. Now, it's not hyper-realistic, but it's more about expressing and communicating a visual idea. So there we go. That's the most important thing when it comes to graphics. That's where I think a lot of developers get stuck, and they get it very wrong, is they try to make things so realistic. They want it the most realistic as possible, but that is not what works in video games. What works is a clear visual communication, and it's about visual expression. And if I just tried to make it hyper realistic or whatever in terms of, you know, that this texture, it would not work well, because video games are not real life. Real life has basically infinite resolution, but we don't have infinite resolution in games. So understanding the limitation of your medium in which you're communicating visually allows you to create something that, sure, it's not realistic, but it works better in terms of visual communication. Anyway, there's that. Let me catch up. Let's see. Nukatha, Tori 3D is a great short game that demonstrates how the PS1 style can still result in quality experience today, and it barely takes an hour. Hey, that's great. My Guardian Force went to sleep without even telling me good night. Oh no! Well, that's alright. You'll see your Guardian Force tomorrow. Jason, hey! Good to see you. Glad you're here. Just got here, and with no context, that extra long arm makes me think of Jurassic Park Trespasser. Oh, so you missed the whole thing. And, you know, you can go back and watch, but we were talking about how Starfield is my new favorite game. I've got these cool glasses, which I think are Starfield glasses. I don't really know. It's my new favorite game, but I've never played it, and I don't actually know anything about Starfield. So, yeah. Sheriff Midriff has entered the falls. Give Brett a crop top. Well, I could. See, he's got the polygons there, so I could give him a crop top. It'll work. As a game dev, what is your opinion on the PS4, Xbox One version disaster that Cyberpunk 2077 had? It's sad. I think it's very sad. No developer wants to launch a game like that. But publishers want to launch. That's it. Publishers want to launch. So unfortunately, in this situation, you know, I'm absolutely confident that developers wanted to make the best game that they could make, and you know, eventually the publisher has final say. I think it's a bummer, and it sucks to pay for a product at full price and receive something that does not meet the standard of what an experience should be. You're paying for a product. They should be supplying a fully functioning product that works as intended out of the box. And yes, we have to be understanding to an extent that game development is getting more complicated. Our tools are getting more advanced, but that also means that our tools have way more room for error now. The expectation for game development is so much higher. Our expectation for games is more complex. And unfortunately, our current trend with the game development, game engines, is not to improve the development tools and development process. It's to make it easier for less experienced and less capable developers to roll out products quickly. That's where our industry is moving towards, and that's what's ruining games. Is Unity could fix all these horrible problems with the engine, but they never will, because what's the point? What Unity wants to do is make a product that it'll allow a total beginner, a total novice with no experience, to roll out a game very quickly so they can make money. And that's what Unity wants, and that's where the industry is moving, and that's a huge problem, because that's only going to get worse, and it's going to get worse because the people at the top who make decisions for these are not the people who are making the games. They're not the people who are using the game engines. They're sitting on their yachts, and they're living their life smoking $400 Cuban cigars, and their $900 bottle of whiskey, and they don't care whether or not the industry thrives or survives once they're done with it. That's what's going wrong with the industry. So, in short, it's unfortunate that we get games that launch like Cyberpunk 2077 and Fallout 76. And I personally think there isn't that much we can do about it. But we can make videos and laugh about it. And I think that's all we can do. And if Unity wants to have a big cry, if the CEO wants to have a big cry, because I'm just telling the truth about how bad the Unity company is, let me catch up to the chat here. Okay, let's go. Ooh, Grand Theft Auto Remastered. Ooh. Oh. All right. How was a product like that even shipped? Okay, with the understanding that they'd still make a lot of money to please their board members, and then they could burn their goodwill for long enough to just finish it. Yeah, there you go. Jim Killis, the Grand Theft Auto Remastered collection is other example, and whichever soccer game that was the horrendous glitches. Okay. Maybe an unpopular opinion. I really like when sport games are glitchy because I think it's fun and funny. Let's see. You look like Geordie LaForge cosplay with those glasses. Oh yeah. I'm LeVar Burton from Star Wars: A New Generation. Starfield is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, and I as well don't know anything about it or had played it. Raiko and I are on the same page. Fist bump right here. 10 out of 10. Perfect game. It doesn't even need DLC. It doesn't use DLC. Everything just works out of the box. Perfect. I will fight anyone who doesn't agree that Starfield is the best game that's ever created. I don't even need to play any other games. I was thinking of just throwing all my other games away. I'd rather just play Starfield. I think it's so great. It's my favorite game from now on forever. And it will never change. My opinion is immutable. Okay, so we're just going to fix this really quick. My character meshes are not casting and receiving shadows. Let's go ahead and fix that. Alright, so I've selected all my meshes, and I can't actually see very well with these on. I'm going to say on, and you can see it's now casting shadows back there. Great. And I want to receive shadows, but I can't. I have to take these off. I can't actually see. There we go. And receive shadows. Why is that? Why can't I click on that? I want to click on that. I can't click on this. Now, why is that? I want to receive shadows. This is interesting. Very interesting that I can't keep, it won't let me select. There must be a reason. There must be a very reasonable explanation. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it automatically receives shadows. That's why I can't click on it. Well, that's quite reasonable, isn't it? You can see that Bull is casting shadows on him as well. Okay. Oh, here was something that I needed for gold as well. So on our last stream, I was taking developers' notes. So gold is currently not casting shadows. We'll do the same thing. Cast shadows on. There we go. There we go. All right, let me catch up to the chat here. I'd say it just looks like where he's going, he doesn't need roads. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have to look up that scene now and see how similar those glasses are, because now that you say that, I'm starting to think they are very similar to that. Brennan Goldman, preach. Rashadzi, I have to ask. Oop, I better catch up to the chat here. I have to ask, what is your process on making clothing? You have a tool you use, make it from scratch, or they're modified from an asset pack? So I have built up clothes over the years that are sort of templates, clothes, and then you modify them to suit. So the material is never the same. You just modify them as you go on. There's a lot of manual work in terms of sculpting. So it starts with a base mesh, and then you sculpt them to change. So I'll use those, and if I have a design for a character, specifically now that I'm making designs for characters that are in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even modern day when I'm making more bespoke clothing items, I will use Marvelous Designer, and it's sort of like creating clothes in real life, where you sort of draw the shape and you stitch them together on the character, and then you have to paint the material and texture onto the character. I may do a stream where I do that, and that would be very fun. But my process for the clothing is, it's very important. It's dependent on the character. Their clothes are designed to match their personality, their attitude, and to express who that character is very quickly. But each character also has a distinct visual look, so that when you view those characters from afar, when you view them quickly, then you will identify those characters pretty quickly. And it's especially important because there are many Silver Falls characters, and moving forward in the series, we are going to see Silver Falls games that have way more characters in them. Not all just playable, but in the environment. For example, in Road Past Guilt will be the first Silver Falls game where you'll get to explore in a huge environment where the characters are just, there's heaps of them walking around. You get to engage with them and interact with them in such a big way that we've not done before. Wow, those pants are a little too shiny, aren't they? I might just dial that down a little bit. How about? Dang, I'd have to manually modify that texture. Actually, sliding that doesn't do what I want it to do. So I'll dial that down. Don't you worry about that. Anyway, let's run some lighting in here. Let's just run this for a bit, and because it'll look nice. It'll look nice. We're gonna run it. I'll catch up with the chat. Heck yeah, smoking my $400 Cuban cigar as we speak. Look, it's not for me. If that's your thing, I'm not going to criticize you. Well, I just did. But I'm not going to criticize you twice. That's, and that's being gentlemanly. Is you can criticize someone once, but twice is like, that's rude, Rewind, have you ever played the Deadly Premonition games? I haven't. I've seen people play them and talk about them. And from a gameplay standpoint, I don't think they're for me. I don't think I would enjoy the gameplay style of those. But I did enjoy watching people play it and talk about it. It was still... Part 2 was and still is super rough with its frame reaching as high as 15 frames, also made with Unity. Then it's likely they may have used a newer version of Unity, which does not run well. The new versions of Unity do not run well at all on the Switch. Okay. It won't be pretty, but it'll work, maybe. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Jordy from Roots, the next generation. What's that show? Peaky Blinders? If I get my coat, I can put my coat on and my little cap, and I'll be Geordie LaForge from Peaky Blinders. Come to think of it, I can't be certain you aren't LeVar Burton. Hey, there's no guarantee. He's very talented, great actor, so I could just be very good at playing this long con. And don't take my word for it. Starfield, the last game you'll ever play. Oh no. Jordy can't see without them. Jerrel can't see with them. What a nightmare. Yeah, okay, I'm trying to run, but it takes a while for Unity to compile all the shaders and all that. So let's go ahead and let that sit for a minute. And what can I show you here? Oh, hey, you know what? I'll show you this. So I've been fixing up this old German violin. It's likely around from the 40s or 50s. I've been repairing it so I can use it in upcoming soundtracks. Now, when I got it, it was in disrepair. It was really badly abused here. Right. So I've been repairing this over the past week. It was really heavily damaged. It was also soaked and just dripping with furniture polish. I got this on the Australian equivalent of Craigslist. It was dripping with oil. There's super glue all over the top. What they had done is they had super glued a bridge onto the top. They super glued the sound post inside, which is an absolute nightmare. And they've also shortened that sound post as well. So I'm waiting on some new parts. I have to cut a new sound post for it. I'm waiting on a high quality bridge. I like Aubert bridges. So I've just been working on this instrument, restoring it and getting it playable. And it sounded like nothing when I first received it. But I think I only paid around 80 US. And I could tell the bass instrument itself was worth far more than that. It's quite beautiful. It came with some broken bows. I used the parts from all the bows, and I've re-haired it myself with this nice distinct black hair. I think it looks quite nice. Later tonight I'll be going to an old hotel with an Irish music club, and I'll be playing Irish music, and I'll take the fiddle with me here. I'll play a bit for you, shall I? And I'm restoring this for use with the upcoming Silver Falls soundtracks. I had a student fiddle that I was playing, and it doesn't have the depth of sound and tone complexity that I'm looking for. Let's hope this is tuned up, shall we? I should have checked for tuning before I started. It's a little out of tune. All right, so I just want to do better. Everything that I do, I want to do better and more. And so I've been teaching myself to play fiddle. I've been going to a lot of different music clubs, playing music, performing, impromptu jam sessions with other musicians, stage performances. So I've been pushing myself so that when I am writing and recording music in the studio, I can be better. And I can do better music, and I can make the best soundtracks I can for these games. So, yeah, that's great. This thing still needs a bit more work. I should have tuned it up before I played anyway. Thanks for listening, everybody. me catch up to the chat here. Oh, hey, let me... Okay, so this is... Okay, so it's running now. So what we're looking at is the scene view. This is the development view. So this... I need to do something about that squeaking chair, don't I? This doesn't look as interesting as the actual game because the game uses post-processing effects to look interesting. Let me go ahead and bring that over now. So now, compare that to the full game view that uses all the advanced lighting and processing effects, and that looks more interesting here. Okay, let me catch up to the chat. Did you ever see the original Switch version of Ark Survival Evolved? That has to be the worst Switch port of all time. I have seen that. I think it's ambitious to try to take a game like Ark Survival Evolved and put that on the Switch. I have never been able to run Ark on any of my computers. I've tried. Well, I got it to run a little bit on my development computer, and I didn't enjoy it. There. I don't want to turn this into a review channel, but okay, here we go. Yo, what up, everybody? Today we're going to be reviewing Ark Survival Evolved, more like Ark Survival Devolved. 1 out of 10. Burp, 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 burp. Worst game ever. I started playing it. I couldn't even figure out how to punch a dinosaur and mine wood out of a tree. Worst game ever. Burr, burr, burr. There we go. That's my review of Survival Evolved. Just kidding. I'm not here to say anything negative about other people. I'm just doing a funny, stupid bit, I think. Alright. Ark was already a mess. The joke is it will always be in early access. Ouch, that's rough. They completely turned things around, though, because they updated the game and completely redid it to actually run well. That's great, but I think you should do that before you launch the game. I think when the game launches, it should be as good as it can be to where it's good enough to play. I think they're making an Ark 2, so I doubt it's still in early access. Well, maybe Ark 2 will also be in early access. Starring Vin Diesel. Yikes, that's a painful list of horrible violin hate crimes. I love to see instruments be resurrected like that. It's one of my favorite things to do with abused rescue guitars. Yeah, that's what's so great about working on instruments, is you get to bring it back to the way it should be, you know. Jimculus, you're great, thanks. Yeah, I'm still improving as a violinist, but I'm at the point now where I can comfortably record with it. In the past, I was stumbling through recordings because I've used a pretty bad student violin in previous tracks for Silver Falls, but now I want there to be a much higher standard. I want the performance to be very good, and I want the recording to be very good. So I have very good stereo recording setup. I now have a good instrument to play, and I'm still pushing myself as a musician to improve. It was an honor to be performing with you, gentlemen. But really, that was awesome. Oh, okay. So that's the bit we're going with, huh? Alright, here we go. Oh, we're going to make a Titanic reference? You commit to the bit. You make a Titanic reference, you're going to get a Titanic reference. There we go. Your vibrato is getting so good, dude. Oh, thanks. There's a lot of different aspects to playing violin. I can't play violin, I play fiddle. I'm not good enough to play violin, so it's, I'm working hard I want the upcoming soundtracks to be great. Yeah. I practice and apply myself so I can approve. No creative ever, including myself. That looks pretty damn good for a Switch game if the result ends up turning out like that. What, this? This? Oh, this isn't even like half like how it should be. Like, I'm still animating. All the grass should be swaying and stuff. I haven't even implemented it. It'll get there. I'm going to move the camera around. I'll just show you different camera angles and whatnot. Because the game, it doesn't really want to be running right now. I've just sort of deployed it so we could see some cool movement in the background. Let me go ahead and grab the camera, and I'll just manually move it around. You know how, Sakurai gets to move his camera around in Smash and whatnot. Where if I put my scene here? I'll just move the camera around. Oh, I'll grab this guy. Where me camera, matey? Okay. I'll shrink that down. I'll just move it, right? Here we go. It's a little bit of a mess, but if you give me a second, it'll make sense. Okay, so I have an animation system that is hijacking it. I'll have to disable the animation system somehow, just to get a different camera angle here, because the game controls the position of the camera, and it also controls the rotation as well. So let's go ahead and just bring that down. We'll just get like a cool camera angle here. A camera angle that you'll probably never get in game. But I just want to get something cool in here. Let's zoom out a bit. Oop, we zoomed too far. Bring it up. Okay, yeah, that's just something to look at here. So I'm not sure what's up with Fred. I don't know why he's not animating here. He should be animating with everyone else. I may have mucked it because you were there. You were there when I swapped over Fred's mesh from the low poly count to the high poly count. So I must have mucked something up. Don't worry, I'll fix it. It'll be fine. Everything will be just fine. Okay. I'll catch up with the chat now. I thought that squeak noise was a Resident Evil spooky, creaky door sound effect. Yeah, it's like on a soundboard. I push it and then I'll fix it. I'll fix it. Squeaky chair. I have gotten to run Arc on my Series X, which that version has enhanced graphics. Ooh, I always like enhanced graphics. To me, great music is the type of music I remember vividly and gets me humming it throughout a day. Yeah, same. There's certain tunes that get stuck in my head. I can hear the lower decks drowning and freezing with every note. Beautiful. Wow. Yeah, what a beautiful image. That was awesome. My Guardian Force was like, what if he plays the song from Titanic and you did it? Well, that's great. I must have heard your Guardian Force. Because, like, Guardian Forces have sort of like that sort of telepathic ability, right? Because you call the Guardian Force and then they come over and they punch a bad guy for you. Fred doesn't animate. He T-poses to assume dominance over the elements. He certainly does. This is like a sacrifice ritual, up in the forest here. I could have my, my camera extend out more, but I'm waiting on some more lighting. You can see there's actually a patch down here from the green screen, so I just need to get a little light down here. It'll all be bits and pieces, be fixed up. I'm just going to have a quick look and see why Fred is not animating. Let's have a quick look here. Okay, I'm going to zoom right on up. Fred hard luck. Okay, so let's go ahead and shrink that down. That's been fun. Let's go ahead and move that out of the way now. Move that. Let's maximize this guy right here. See, the avatar is missing. And I'm not making an Avatar The Last Airbender joke. That's just... Okay. The avatar is missing. We're going to bring him on back in. So you see I've selected the avatar from the list. And now we have Fred Hardluck is animating. there we go. And that's it. You know, and that's how it looks on the Switch. That's how it runs. That's how it looks. And it will look better. I'm still improving it. But I want it to run great. I want it to look great. It's got to have that vibe. You know what I mean? And so I'm very excited about this. I worked very hard on the new tracks. And you can see that it's quite a laborious process when it comes to enhancing all of these visuals. So that's just part of it. But I'm glad I can now share this sort of stuff with all of you. I think it's just a fun way to hang out and chat. And we can talk about how much we love Starfield. So last time on stream, I was running the game on hardware, and it was an old build. But now you can see the high-resolution textures here. So what do you guys make of that? So when I originally created this texture, I originally created it with this high resolution, and then I've just had it sitting. I used a tarnished sort of specular map to make it look more realistic. So if you see at an angle, it's not perfect. You can see there are imperfections when it comes to the specularity, and that's what helps give things depth and character visually. So I think that's interesting to see it that way. And you can see even like the door sort of catches the light a certain way. It's got a grunginess to it. And you can see that I would like Maverick to be a little to the right. It didn't line up the way I wanted, but I thought, you know, that's just how it's going to be. A sort of cool as Maverick's genuine mood. 10 cents, wow. Whew. I'd like to pay 10 cents for a soda, jeez. Okay. That's great. And you can even see the tarnished sort of look on the side there. You know. But here's a hiccup. See, that's actually reversed. It's mirrored, whereas if you look at it on the other side, it's correct. So I'm going to have to create, I'm going to have to reverse the UV map on that. I'll fix it. It wasn't important. I will have to fix it though, because in future games you'll see this machine pop up again, and that involves going into your modeling program, editing the UV data, and then mirroring that. So it's not reversed. But it was never important because in 3 Down Stars, I actually had this laying flat on the ground in 3 Down Stars, and then I just left the reverse side on the ground. So it saved me having to go into the modeling program and fix it. Fred's his own man. He's not going to be told what to do by some animator. Hey, Gino's pretty sure I've logged about 50 hours into game. Looking forward to doing it all again. Hey, there's going to be more playable characters and more cryptids. So, yeah, thanks again for being such an awesome supporter. Maverick and Starfield. Hey, if they want to do a crossover, and if they said, hey, can we please put Maverick in Starfield? I'm going to say no. Maverick's his own dude. The only game that Maverick will ever appear in, if there's going to be a crossover, will be Super Smash Bros. And everyone else can have their own dudes. They can make their own moose. I just realized the Moose Juice machine has a yellow arrow pointing down from Maverick's crotch to the drop slot. It's yeah, it's always been that way, but it's always been low resolution every time we've seen the machine. So this is the first time we've seen the machine in such high resolution. There's a trick. I'll show you a trick that I used to get these boulders to look more high resolution than they actually are. And I'll explain that trick to you now. So when we look at our shader data here, if I want to, I'm kind of in the way. I actually tile this. So that means that it'll repeat the texture and it'll look more detailed than it actually is. If I return the tiling to 1 and 1, whoops, hold on. That's for the detail map. To 1 and 1, you can see that it's actually quite low resolution and it doesn't look good. It actually looks quite blobby and blocky. So I've tiled it 5 times. And when you tile it 5 times, you have to pick, it's a balancing act. You have to pick a tiling number where the tiling will not be obvious. In this case, the tiling value, about 5, makes it so that you can't actually tell that it's being tiled, which means it's being repeated, and you can't tell. And it ends up making it look very high resolution, when in fact, it's not that high resolution at all. Let me check the resolution on this guy. I've actually like manually sharpened it as well for more detail. Can I just, maybe I'll just get out of the way here. This is only 512 by 512, so I have saved a significant amount of memory. Otherwise, you would do like a 2048 by 2048 or a 4096 or whatever it is. But in this situation, 512 by 512 is a very small amount of video memory, and the end result looks great. And it also is a wise decision in terms of design approach, because you never get that close. Excuse me, to those. Well, you can. You can, because when you do the missions, you can put the camera close right in, So but it's never staring right at it. It's not like White Inside Its Umbra. White Inside Its Umbra was an immense challenge because, again, there's a minimal amount of RAM that I have available in White Inside Its Umbra. There was a huge number of characters that had good quality character models. They had all of their high resolution textures. And then I wanted the environment to look good. I wanted the foliage to look good. I didn't want it to look like an old Wii U game. I wanted it to look like a good modern game. And that was very tough to accomplish on the Wii U. And I had to use a lot of tricks like that, where I tiled a lot of textures, or I added detail maps, and I tiled the detail map to make something look more detailed than it actually was. Poop can dispenser. Starfield is already perfect. It doesn't need Maverick. Oh, of course, yeah. Starfield's great. It's. I don't think that they should change anything about Starfield, because everything about it is already perfect. It's, changing it is gonna make it worse. Honestly, leave it the way it is. Tino Zay, I was going to give one of the characters in Dino Mutants a Maverick tattoo. Well, you can do that. No one's gonna stop you. I'm not your mother, so I can't stop you. Foiled before textures were even drawn. Yeah, it's a free country. Do what you want. Hey, if some developer can steal the Yoshi model and then launch their own game using the Yoshi model, then you can put a Maverick tattoo on somebody. Look at that. You can even see the seams on his pants. That's pretty neat, huh? Yeah. I'd strengthen those pleats, though. I'd run an iron over that bad boy and do a bit more with those pleats. Good to have a nice pleat. And speaking of that, we got about 3 sets of trousers that I need to replete them, so I better put that on my developers to-do list. Who else is on the list here? Oh, hey, let's have a look at Shauna. I know people really like Shauna. Pretty popular character, actually. And we've never seen the high-resolution assets for Shauna, so let's go ahead and do that now. I'm a big Shauna fan as well. You get to have a close look at her character details. Let's bring her over to the vending machine. How about that? This will be fun. All right. Hands up in the comment section. Any Shauna fans out there? Shauna fan, gonna have to say it. I think she's really cool. Gino's a Shauna. Jerrel sounds like Bob Ross when he talks about his game. I do like watching a Bob Ross video. It's nice. It's calming. Jason, I was just about to ask if you did that tile trick on White Inside Its Umbra. I was extremely impressed with the graphic quality you got in that game. Yes. Gavin the Goose. Don't you mean Gavrick the Goose? Gavrick the Goose. Gavrick is a real name. So here's a close look at her. Walkman player, actually. So let me see. Past me should have left the high quality textures in here, but we're going to find out now soon, aren't we? Let's go ahead and click on that, bring the standard shader in, change that to opaque, and now you can see that she's now receiving per pixel lighting data. You can see the shadows there. Let's go ahead and start bringing in some high resolution textures here and some normal data. Alright, so it doesn't look like I have that high resolution textures in here. I'm going to head into my database now, and I'll see where our files are. Okay. Characters. Let's find my characters here. I'm just looking in my asset database. So I just need a moment while I look through my asset database here. Okay. Character work, and then hopefully Shauna is in here. Shauna, where are you? Shauna. Guardians and Metal Exterminators. Character. Shauna. Okay. Let's see, shirt pattern. Cool, I've got the HD shirt pattern here. And I'm just going to check for my high resolution assets for my other aspects of the character. Let's go ahead and see if past me put them in the right spot. Okay. Let's just go ahead and get the computer to search for me. I have an immense amount of assets stored all across my projects here. I'm just pasting some files in here. HD. I'm getting my computer to find a file for me. Okay, let's go ahead and bring in a high resolution version of this shirt. I really enjoyed designing this shirt. I have a lot of passion for the 80s, and okay, that's not correct. I think that was the base pattern, and then I had designed the base pattern to repeat as well. So I'll just find where I have the higher resolution one. Okay. Let's see, I'll open this file location. Oh, right, okay. Let's see, 128, 128. Right, okay, that's baked. Let's see. On top diffused colored. That doesn't seem correct. That doesn't seem correct. I'll just, that's 1024. Please pardon me. I'm going to try again. Put that in there. Shoes base color. Okay. I believe open file location. There we go. I have found the high resolution assets. I found them, everybody. We got him. We got him, everyone. Let me go ahead and copy in pasta. Okay. Right, is that the high resolution stuff? What about that? Yep. Let me copy pasta. Okay, we're good. We're good. There are no Unity crashes, only happy little accidents. I'm still happy I bought Fight Inside its Umbra, even bought a balance board so I can play a game to its fullest capacity. Thanks for that. I really appreciate you supporting the game, and I really hope that you're having so much fun with it. I am working on an update for that. I've made fixes, but again, it's about deploying it with the new way I have to deploy it is offering me some challenges. But I am working on it, and I've done significant work to improve those games that I've launched, so it's a little frustrating that I haven't been able to roll those out yet. So it's time consuming, but I am working on it. Okay, let's bring her top in just here. Great, whoa! Check out that high resolution texture, dang, alright. Okay, but still it's quite flat, isn't it? There's no normal data. So we'll go ahead and bring in our normal map now. So we have our top normal. Let's pay close attention. And now you can actually see folds in the clothing. What I would actually do, I would use a fabric overlay, which I'm not sure I have in here. So I'm going to check my normal map. So I'm going to see, I normally have a set of universal assets I've created. Here we go. Have a look at this. So you see how the shirt is quite plain at the moment. I'm now going to use a fabric overlay, which I've created. And you can see it's sort of quite chunky and big, right? So I'll just get out of the way here. What I'm going to do is now tile that. Right now it's only once. I'll tile that for 10. And you can now see the fabric in her shirt. It's a little too intense, so I'm going to dial that down. 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. And I know the distances at which we will view the character when you have fabric like that, it just helps the character have more visual depth, and they're more interesting to look at. I'm quite happy with how that looks. I'm just going to work on the anisotropic filtering as 10. Okay, sure. That's just fine. Once you get close enough, you will see that. That looks good to me. Okay. Let's go ahead and now, I wonder if I've prepared, I don't know if I have that actually high resolution version of her skin texture, because again, I manually paint to work on the characters here. I don't know if I have the HD one in the project, or if I will have to find that later on. Let's go ahead and standard. Okay, I don't think that's not correct. I'll have to add that in later on. Oh no, that always shocks me for some reason. Okay, bring that in. Okay, we'll get our pants going in there. Okay, you know what? Maybe I will just go into that, and then I'll grab that file, and then I'll put the proper texture in for her skin. Okay. We can see the pants has now looks. Wow, that looks pretty great, doesn't it? You can even see the fibers in there. Let's go ahead and get our bottom metallic map, and again, I'll fix that in Unity, and or outside of it. Let's see, Shauna. Bottom normal. I was actually short-circuited here. I'm short-circuited because I'm looking at the file names, and I must have made these textures a long time ago, because her last name is not correct. Her last name is Court. Her last name is not Coleman. It's Court. So nice little. This is not good footwear, by the way. I think there's thousands upon thousands of reported injuries every year because of using these flip-flops, or thongs if you're in Australia. But they actually force your muscles and your joints and your body to work in an unnatural way, which leads to injuries. But it's not just the injuries themselves, it's the wearing of this particular footwear that is quite damaging. So it's not good for you to use these. So I will not promote the use of flip-flops. I would say just get yourself some sandals if you really need to get some freedom down there. But these are not what I would choose to promote. Hey, check that out. Wow, it made a big difference, didn't it? Okay. And again, I'll fix up the resolutions later on, because this is way too high resolution. You can see all the you can see the fabric on the sandals, can't you? You can see sort of the leather, purple leather there. Anyway, I'll fix that later. Shoes, metallic and smoothness. I'll fix that later, no big deal. And I'm not sure, shoes, ambient occlusion, I'm not sure what I have in the project at the moment. This is looking pretty good, don't you think? Okay, so that's some real 3DS hair, isn't it? That's the most 3DS hair that I've seen all day. Anyway, I don't really want to use the standard shader. I actually want to use this guy, but I don't have a preset. Oh, I can't see. I'm in the way. That's not good, is it? Okay. This will not be good spec data as well. This is bad spec data. That's not what I want. And I'll just get the normal map in here. Okay, fix now. Okay, so it's all right. You know, it's pretty close. Too shiny and whatnot, but it's certainly. Hey, it's all right, isn't it? It's all right. Yeah, looking sharp, my lady. Looking sharp. I'm going to see what versions of the skin texture I have here. If you give me a moment, I'll just check my asset database now. What have I got in here? Okay. Let me check my character work. Textures, Shona. Where? Where here? Character, Shauna. Why? Oh man. I don't know if I gutted. Why did past me do that? I gutted this asset on the fly again. Wow, that was such a frustrating process working on this in such a short amount of time. What's my resolution here? Is that 256 or 128? That's 256. Bummer. That's really irritating, isn't it? Okay, well, I'm gonna have to do that again at some point. Very irritating. Okay, well we'll just put this in here because it's kind of like a lifeless gaze that's really upsetting to look at. Okay. All right, we got our normals. Normal map. Fix now. Yes. Okay. That's, oh man, that doesn't, this is going to be wrong data as well, which I'll have to come back and fix later. And then I'll just finish this up and then I'll get caught up with the stream. Or with the chat. Okay, but you can see it's starting to look more and more realistic. I need to see if I have a higher resolution, higher poly count body here that's in my project, and I'm going to find out in just a second because I really don't like this lifeless sort of gaze that her eyelidless body mesh has. It's not nice to look at. What do I got here? Okay. Let my computer find this for me. Yeah, that might be it. Oh no, that's not it. Okay. Find. Shauna. Actually, I'll just type in Shauna. Okay, let's see if I can find that. I don't think I have the high resolution stuff for the player here. Let's just go ahead and go to standard on that. And then on this one, on the glass, we'll go standard as well. Okay, that's already transparent. Cool, that's using a standard glass, a universal glass that I'd set up so that objects can reuse that sort of glass. Ooh, this is looking pretty sharp already. Cool, good. Check it out, it's receiving the shadow data as well. Looking good. So I think lucky, previous me made a high resolution version of that texture. Pretty nice. Okay, now I just need to find that high poly count model because looking at that is starting to hurt my soul a little bit. Come on, computer. What have we found? Find me something good, please. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to catch up to the chat while my computer searches for me. I'm not too far into the game, but it's great. Hey, thanks. If you need tips or helps with White and Sided Cyber, I'm sure people in the Discord would be happy to lend a hand if you need some tips and advice. I'll fix this while I am waiting. I'm going to grab that metallic map, bring that into Photoshop. Just run my procedure here, go ahead and save it, and that'll fix the genes because they are not what they are supposed to be. Okay, yeah, and this is the process of remastering. You know, it's tedious and it is long, but this is what it takes in order to remaster something and take it from the 3DS to the Switch. Okay, now I'll just check and see if my computer has found that high resolution asset yet. Raiko, where'd everybody go? Bingo? Is that a Resident Evil 4 reference? Okay, okay, I found the high resolution model here. So now we are going to put that in here. Great. So now we're going to replace the low resolution character model with a high resolution. Okay, so let's check our import settings. I don't need blend shapes. I don't need those things. You just want to make sure that read write enable is turned off. I don't need that. Go ahead and humanoid is the avatar that we want. We don't need animations. We don't need materials, even though Unity will import the materials automatically on its own, which is just default behavior. Okay, so now we see, hopefully this won't destroy anything. Often this can lead to unwanted effects on the character model. So you can see it's kind of upsetting, I think, that the face is low resolution. Something bad happens when you have a low resolution on the face or a low poly count. So let's go ahead and swap over to a higher level of detail. We're going to use body, we'll put the mesh in there. Okay, that's not what I wanted. That's a little problematic. We're going to have to fix that at some point. Let's see if the shirt will go all right here. Okay, yeah. So I'll zoom in on that. We'll have to fix the body at some point. Okay. Tops. There we go, and you can see that it's much smoother now, but it's messed up. This is problematic. This is very problematic because now it's not compatible with the previous data. I'm going to have to go in and do a significant amount of manual work in a modeling program to fix that. It's a little frustrating, but that's the name of the game, isn't it? So I'll see if the bottoms are compatible at least. Okay, those are, which is good. Otherwise the legs bending, I know that they're problematic. I'm just going to open a 3D modeling program here, see if I can just convince it to work in any way. I think that the hair I would like to replace with the higher poly count. So let me see if I have that stored here. It doesn't look like that's the case. Okay. How many poly count? What's the poly count on the hair here? I'm in the way of the poly count. I guess it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm just waiting for this 3D modeling program to open up. I'm going to see if I can get this to work, because what it should look like, that's, you know, kind of upsetting to my eyeballs here. Otherwise, I'll just have to redo the whole, reformat the character from scratch again, which is, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'll do that if that's what's necessary. Just a little bit irritating, but that's fine. It's no big deal. Just have to reformat. Okay, so here's what it should look like. There's a particular way. I use a different renderer or a different material for the eyes. So you can see, like, the eyes for the 3DS, it used the same renderer as the skin. It wasn't a big deal. I'm going to look for if I have universal eyelash here. Often, if I know that the games are viewed from pretty far away, I will use a shared eyelash material because you don't even see them from that close anyway, and it looks like... Let me see if I have it in here. Like a universal... Okay, I should have that here. Yeah, a universal eyelash situation going on. I might have a universal eye shader that I can clone from model to model, but you can see it's starting to look much better, isn't it? There we go. So you can see the difference. There's the HD high poly count versus the low poly count. Why I was saying it's kind of upsetting to look at the low poly count characters up close. But on the 3DS, I had no choice, did I? So, but I think the character, that's what the character should look like anyway. All right. And often this is a very important design consideration for optimization. And that is, you can see the hair is supposed to be more detailed as well, is usually I detach the hair, and the hair is a separate model that goes on the head. And the reason why I do that is because when your characters animate, they need to employ something called a skinned mesh. And a skinned mesh is a mesh or geometry that's able to basically change. You can animate it, you can bend it, you can fold it, you can twist it. So any part of the character that moves needs to be a skinned mesh, but skinned meshes are more demanding on memory and the processor. They're harder to draw, they take up more memory, and if you do not need something to be a skinned mesh, you should not have it as a skinned mesh. The hair, because you use physics to animate it, does not need to be a skinned mesh. It can just be a standard mesh. And so what I normally do is I detach the hair in a 3D modeling program, and then I export the hair, and then I manually add the hair back in so that it's not a skinned mesh. This is something that you would do if you wanted to optimize your game, if you wanted to run better, take less memory, load faster, be more reliable. If you wanted to spend that time optimizing, then you would do that. Or if you wanted to just rely on your unlimited polygons, don't do any optimizing, don't waste your time with that. Just rely on your unlimited polygons, that's fine. Just stick 16 gigs of RAM in your computer and don't worry about doing any real work. Okay, let's go ahead. I think I'm just going to have to redo this, the formatting of this character. No big deal. Gotta get. Oh no, I've done it. I've really done it now. Yeah, I've got to get the. Got to get the Walkman on and everything. I got to get the headband. Gee, her hair's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. All right, let's get our sandals on there. I think Shauna's meant to be one of the best combo characters in terms of connecting melee weapons together. I think she's supposed to be one of the best for that. And I think Karn is supposed to be a good combo character as well. So I think his attack power, I think it's generally low in this, and he's more about attacking speed. I have to double check. Alright, anyway, so you can sort of see the difference. We'll just go side by side, but it's a significant difference, I think. Go ahead and grab the moving tool here. Whoa, is it already 2 o'clock? Wow, I think we're going to have to wrap up the stream here. So you can see this character kind of looks alive, and this one looks like a horrible, lifeless mannequin. So anyway, there's Shauna Court. Anyway, I think we better wrap things up here. We can hang out for another minute or two, and we'll just chat. And if anyone has any closing remarks, you can please feel free to make them now. All right. How deep in development are you with this remake? Pretty far in. You can see there's still all of the majority of the characters still need to be done in terms of remastering. So what I've shared with you today, I have to do that for all of the characters and all of the monsters. It's going to be a lot easier for the monsters. I've been doing the environments, implementing the Switch control schemes, and I'm in the middle of reprogramming the menus so that currently the game is trying to draw all of the menus on a second screen, which doesn't exist, so I'm programming them to display on just the one screen, because of course this was originally a 3DS game. Oh, Jim Killis is back. Okay, it's actually a really visually appealing looking face model. I can tell that you take into account smaller facial details. Yeah, it's yeah, it's important that I think characters have a distinct look and they're identifiable, and they don't all just look like they're sharing some sort of face model. This is especially important when I know that characters have family members, whether they have cousins or they have children, it's important that these characters have a distinct look to them, because I base family members related characters. I have to make them look like they're related in some way. And Shauna's daughter does appear in other Silver Falls games, and she has actually appeared. Shauna's daughter has appeared in one other Silver Falls game already, but you don't know who she is. So there we go. Wow, that looks really cool. I mean, I'm just taking a step back. Shoot, that looks cool. Okay, I got to get her Walkman back on, and I've got to get a headband. What I'll do is I'll put the characters in the exact same place, and then I'll just move them across from one to the other. But I'll do that later. So we'll finish up the stream, and again, we'll just take another minute to just hang out and chat a little bit. So yeah, it's been fun. Thanks everyone for hanging out. It's been so fun being able to share my passion for Starfield, which I'm an immense fan of. I just can't say enough great things about Starfield. Really enjoy Starfield, and I can't wait for Starfield 2077. Some games have realistic styled characters that look pretty uncanny. I totally know what you mean. Sometimes I see modern games and it's a little off-putting how realistic characters look when you know that they're not really... Well, you know they're not real. I really liked Until Dawn, but there were certain moments where the characters' faces, they were so realistic, but they animated a certain way, and I thought it was upsetting to look at. I kind of think of Until Dawn as a Peter Stormare simulator. Sometimes I'll just boot up the title screen and play with Peter Stormare's face, because I've always wanted to play with Peter Stormare's face, but I didn't want to go to jail, so it's better to just use Until Dawn to manipulate his face. Yeah, that sounds like it's really deep on development. Yeah, Jim Kulis, I wonder when someone will make a game that has a character with long hair, but they have to periodically move their hair out of their face. Oh, like that. I didn't get to play the Resident Evil 4 remake, but is that something Leon has to do in that game? Because I assumed, if the hair was so realistic in Resident Evil 4, Leon would have to constantly, like, you press L3 and R3 together, and then your character pushes their hair out of the way, because their hair is constantly, like, blocking his view, because he has such, like, flowing locks in Resident Evil 4. As someone with long hair, it's something I have to do all the time. Oh yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I got this, I got a ponytail these days, or I sort of let it loose. When I need to rock and roll, when I'm playing electric guitar, I just let it down. You gotta rock and roll, you know how it goes. Anyway, hey, it's been great. It's been a lot of fun hanging out with everyone. Really enjoyed sharing this part of development with you. It's been so much fun. We'll do another stream again in a few days, and I'll share more of the development. We may even sculpt the new Metal Exterminator. We may be doing concept art. There's all sorts of stuff we can do. We can do all kinds of tasks related to the development process now that we have the new studio. So I just want to thank everyone for hanging out and having fun today, for chatting, and especially thanks to the patrons who helped me set up this new studio, helped me fix it in my office and get it all sorted out. Thank you so much. I'm still acquiring new components and parts to really improve the studio and the office, so it makes a big difference that the patrons have contributed. And thank you to everyone for playing and enjoying the games. Jim Gillis, great stream. Have a good day. Believe it, it is for you. Yeah, it's 12:04 a.m. for you. Well, okay, yeah, it's not too late. I think some people, it's like 3 for them in the morning. Hey, anyway, it's been fun, everyone. Take care. We'll see you around. And I'll see you in the next stream, where we can have more fun. We can do more stuff. It's been great.